Welcome back guys, hope you're doing great. Well, in this video we're gonna build a full stack multifunctional admin dashboard for our expense tracker application. Well, this admin dashboard will gives you the monthly overview comparing with the previous month and the current month, and along with that weekly expenses reports as well as, and it will gives you the recent expense what you have and the overall budget and what is the recent expenses and everything. And it's having this dual mode, which is the light mode and the dark mode. You can see if I click, it will change to light mode and sorry, the dark mode, and I can switch back between the dark mode. And we are using the Clerk Authentication for the seamless user session management and everything. And we're having the collapsible menu as well as, and this is completely responsive. You can see that. See, it is completely responsive. So we are using Material UI and Next.js and TypeScript in order to build this, right? So let me open the budget so where I can able to create myself a new budget, and it gives me the overall budget what is assigned and how much it is been remaining. Okay, and these are the recent budgets which I already created by myself. So let me create a new budget. It will give you this nice pop-up, so I can create myself a new budget. Let's say new budget, and I'm going to assign $700 for that particular budget. So let's create, oops, I forgot to add this. So okay, so let me show you. Oh, you can see that. So if I click this, so if I click this, I can switch between this multiple emojis, which emojis, whatever the emoji you wish to open. So you can choose that emojis and you can create that with that emoji. And you can see this is the new budget which I have created. For instance, let's say I want to increase a little bit in any specific budget. All you have to do is to click this plus 50. So let's say if I click over here, so that is going to increase another $50 in our budget. All right, so all I have to do is to get back over here. For instance, let's say I want to create a new expense for this particular budget. All I have to do is to click this, and there I can create a new expense for this particular budget. For let's say I'm just creating a new expense or something, expense. And here, let's say, let me assign, for instance, if the user typing the expense value which is beyond the budget value, it will not allow the user to insert that. For instance, let's say I'm going to create 800. Now if I try to add it, so that is going to say not enough amount in the budget. So let's say if I say 400, and if I click add, so that is going to be saying expense has been created, and it's going to list out what particular expense it is. And here you can see the progress of our budget calculations over here, which is calculated perfectly. All right, so let me get back to the budgets, and if I click this expenses, you can see these are all the list of expenses which I've been created. Let's say if I want to delete any specific expense, all I have to do is to click over here. That will remove that specific expense from our DB, and as well as the entire UI it's been updated. Now if I get back to the analytics, you can see this current week for this particular day today, which is the expense is a little bit over. So now you can see the changes in our charts and everything. Okay, and here you can see the budget comparisons for overall what is the budget comparison for August and July. So this will change automatically current month and the previous month. So you will have how much you are saving, how much you are using, for how much you are spending amount, and what is the overall budget that every month you are assigning. So you can calculate everything over here. All right, and even you have the refresh option to in order to fetch the current details. If you wish to, instead of refreshing over there, all you have to do is to click over here. Now you can see the entire data had been reloaded. Okay, so these things for the seamless data transactions and everything, we are using the Prisma and MongoDB for our data management, and for user management we are using the Clerk Authentication, and this entire UI is powered by theme selection. So all you have to do is to stick to the video and follow me. Let's build this project together. All right then, so as I said, this entire admin dashboard UI is powered by the theme selection. So all you have to do is to click this link in the description below, so that will takes you to that specific page. Okay, so once you loaded that link, this is how it looks. So you can see they are providing the pro version and as well as the free versions. So in this case we are going to use the free versions itself. So they provide multiple admin dashboards with any specific frameworks over here. See, Vue.js. So in this case we are going to use the Next.js. Okay, you can, even if you wish to choose for React as well as, you can choose it. All you have to do is to click the link in the description below. Please go ahead and download the file. So click the Next.js. In this case, we're going to use the Next.js. There we go. So for the Next.js, we have different packages over here. In this case, we are going to use this Material UI Next.js admin template. All right. So all you have to do is to download this. Okay, so you can either go for pro version. So the only difference between the pro version is you will have the multiple features for filtering the data, multiple charts, and multiple data table accessibilities. Okay, anyways, we can work with the free version for this particular kind of project. If you're going for a very big data management and all those things, I strongly recommend to go for the pro version. Okay, so click download free option, so that will help you to download it. So all you have to do is to download free. Okay, I hope it will ask you to log in. So if it is asking for you to log in, so please do log in. No, nothing it's going to cost you. Okay, so once it's downloaded, so all you have to do is to click this download option, and there we go, it will start download. Okay, which is very lesser in size, 3.6 MB only. So let's open it. All right, let me bring it over here. So here we go. So all I have to do is to let me bring it to my desktop, close it. Okay, so here let me extract it, and there we go. So if you open that specific folder, you can see it's going to give you JavaScript version and the TypeScript version. In this case, we are going to use the TypeScript version. So let me rename this TypeScript version as expense tracker theme selection. Hit the enter, and let me open this thing in my Visual Studio Code. So open it in the Visual Studio Code, and there we go. So this is the application which we are going to use. Let me keep it over here, and let me keep this on this side. All right, so now I hope you can see everything in the side by side. So over here they are using pnpn, so we don't need this pnpn, so let's delete that one. Okay, and apart from that, you don't need to delete anything else. So all you have to do, open the source and keep everything over here. So you can see it's have the entire layouts, menus, and everything. So let's open the terminal and let's see how the basic applications looks like. So let me clear it, and let's say npm install. So let's install all those packages in npm. So that will take some time, so please wait until it's successfully installed. All right then, so now entire package has been successfully installed. All I have to do is to npm run dev. So that is going to trigger that application in our local host, and let's run this application in our local host. So it's loading. Let me keep it over here. Okay, so we are getting some error. All right, so basically this error is where it's been coming from, because so for instance, let's say if you open your app, inside the app folder you can find this layout.tsx, and there you can find our vertical layout which has been loading, and that is loading the navigation and navbar and vertical footer contents and everything. So if you open the navigation, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can see the vertical menu. Okay, if you click the vertical menu, and there you can see all the menu links where it's been loaded. Okay, and it's having this process environment variable. So basically, what is the error it's showing over here? It's saying that the link which is expecting it should be either a string or an object, but we got an undefined, which means this it's not accessible. So what you have to do is, if you collapse everything, and there you can see .env.example. So all you have to do is to rename, because this is the path it is currently using. So all you have to say, just rename it, just .env. So once you renamed it, stop the server and rerun it. So this should fix the issue. So let me refresh the code, and there we go. Look at that. See, so we got our complete working fully functional dashboard over here. Now all we have to do is to go ahead, customize these menu options, and bring all those necessary things inside. You can see all it's having this default inbuilt components and everything. So in this case, you can see these are all the packages are pro. for instance academic, emails, chat, calendar. So if you wish to use these kinds of pro options and all those things, all you have to do is to click the link in the description below. So go ahead and download the pro version. Okay, so if you use that link, you will be having a special discount as well as. Okay, so click that link and you will have that. All right, so now let's go ahead and customize this over here. All right then, so now what we have to do is we need to customize this left navigation menu option. So let's close this and let me get back to the layout.tsx, which is currently inside the app dashboard layout.tsx, and jump into the vertical layout navigation menu option. So click this navigation, that will takes you to the navigation.tsx. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can see this vertical menu option. So click this vertical menu and there you are going to see all the menu options which is currently being displayed over here. So first let's create ourselves our admin routes. So all I have to do is to close over here. If you check it out over here, what are the admin routes? We do have the overview and we do have the budgets and we do have the expenses. So let's create those routes. Later if you wish to add much more, you can add it. So let's say const admin routes equals to, and here let's create icon. Basically for icon we are going to use the lucid react icons. So it's using the iconify icons by default, but in this case I'm going to use the lucid react, which is quite easy for me to use it. So let's say search for lucid react. This is the package that we are going to use. So let me open the terminal, new terminal, and let's say npm install lucid react. Hit it. So that will download that specific package and install in it. And in that I'm going to use the currency which is coming from lucid react itself. Then I'm going to use the label which is going to be the budgets. Then I'm going to use the href which is going to be slash budgets. And let me copy this, paste it, right after here, and I'm gonna use this list lucid. Then I'm gonna change this to expenses, and let's bring the expenses, save it. So currently this we haven't used it, so that's the reason it's showing that type error, so don't worry about that. And if you get back over here, you can see you need to understand how the menu is being used. You can see it's entirely wrapped inside this container scroll wrapper. So if you check it out, this is completely responsive. This is the scroll wrapper container. All right, so let's get back over here. And you can see we have this menu. Basically this menu, it's wrapping this entire content, and inside that it's having this sub menu, right? Inside the sub menu, this is the dashboard. If you are planning to create it as a sub menu like this option, like this accordion option, you need to wrap it inside the sub menu, and each every item over here it's wrapped as the menu item options. All right, so basically now what we are going to do is, sorry. So what we have to do is, so I'm gonna minimize all these sub menus over here, minimize this, this menu section. Okay, so basically I don't need from here to here, so let me comment it and let me save it. And you can see now we have this very few menu options. Now right after here, what I'm going to do is, if you check it out over here, I need to bring this analytics as a global one. So let's create the menu item over here. So let's bring that menu item, close it. And for this I need to supply the icon. So for that I'm going to supply the layout dashboard icon from the lucid react, which is going to be having the class name as width as 4 and height as 4. Okay, then I need to supply the href, which is going to be the global root route. And inside here, I'm going to supply it as the analytics. So save it. So you should be able to see that analytics over here. Now let me expand this sub menu. So basically that sub menu, which is going to be this tracker option. Okay, so I'm going to say instead of it as the dashboard, I'm going to use it as the tracker. And inside I just need only two different routes, so I don't need the remaining routes, so I can delete those remaining routes. Delete it. Okay, so here we go. So the first menu item, which is going to be, I don't need this at all. Close this. We don't need this because basically we are going to use the array to in order to repeat the routes and everything. So let's say admin routes dot map, open it. Then we're going to extract that route from it, and we are going to render this menu item. And for this I need to supply the key, otherwise it will throw this error. Key, which is going to be the route dot href, because each route is going to be unique. Okay, and next what I need to do is, so this entire stuff needs to be inside this sub menu, right? This entire thing, it's need to be inside this it should be, make sure the entire routing and rendering option, everything should be inside this sub menu option, otherwise it will throw that error. Okay, so then what we need to do is href is going to be that. Let's delete this and let's bring ourselves the href, which is going to be route.href. Okay, and we don't need this suffix for the time being, and I don't need this target for the time being. All I have to do is to bring the label over here, which is going to be route.label. Save it. So that is going to be over here. Okay, so now we need the icon. So currently it doesn't have this icon. So what I'm going to do is this, it's having the icon property, which is going to render our route.icon component, whatever it is, class name, which is going to be width as 4, height as 4. So save it. Now you should be able to see your icons as well as. Okay, and you can minimize it and you can expand it. And this tracker chip, which is displaying this label, so basically this label, which is going to be your admin routes dot length, so that will be displayed over there. All right, so perfect, which is going looking perfectly fine. And if I switch between from color mode as well as, it's working perfectly as it's supposed to be. All right, perfect. So now we fix the vertical menu options. So now all I have to do is to remove the unwanted menu options over here. Okay, so now all we have to do is to go ahead and create ourselves the Clerk Authentication, a new project. Okay, so let's click over here. We're going to use the Clerk Authentication. So search for Clerk Authentication. So that is going to be like this. All right, so then all you have to do is to sign in yourself with your account. Let me click the dashboard, so that will takes me to the dashboard. Okay, so here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project over here, create a new application, and let's choose this application as the expense tracker application, or you can simply say personal expense tracker. So this is how it will be displayed. So I'm gonna keep myself the Google authentication, and I'm gonna keep myself this Facebook authentication, these two authentications options. So all I have to do is to create this application. So create it. All right, so since we are using this Next.js, so let me open this and I'm going to stop this server for the time being, and let me install this package, copy it and install it. Then you should copy and paste this in your environment variable. So copy this, open your environment file. So I'm going to keep this at the all the way to the bottom over here. Then I need to create this middleware. So let's copy this middleware name, copy it. So collapse everything. So please make sure that you're keeping your middleware inside the source folder. So your middleware should be inside the source folder, because inside the source only we're having the app. So that should be inside your source. So create a new file inside your source folder. Then only the middleware will load. Otherwise it will not load your middleware. Then I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it. Okay. So save it and save your environment variable as well as. All right. So then what I need to do is I need to wrap the entire application into this clerk provider. So what I have to do is open the source, open the app, click this layout. This entire stuff needs to be wrapped inside our layout, just like that. All right. So all I have to do is to copy this import statement, copy it and bring it right after here and remove these unwanted stuffs and cut this out, and let's bring that clerk provider and paste it inside. This is it. All right. So this is all we needed it. Perfect. So then what I need to do is click this continue to Next.js guide. So that will takes you to create this customized sign in and sign up pages and everything. Okay. So if you are not using Clerk Authentication, so you don't have to worry about, because by default it will gives you the pages as well as over here. See, for the login and logout and register, by default it's having its own page. All you have to implement those functionalities with this UI. Okay, that's it. So in this case, first what I need to do is I need to protect all the routes, because by default entire routes it's a public route, so we need to protect it. So in this case you need to search for clerk middleware. So if you search for clerk middleware options, so here we go. So you can see we're having this protected route options. By default it is protecting the dashboard and the forum. So I'm going to copy this, copy it, okay. So I'm gonna paste it over here. So let's bring this inside. So by default what it need to do is it's need to protect the entire route. So it should protect the entire route, whatever which is coming inside should protect the entire route. Then inside the clerk middleware, what I need to do is I'm gonna get the authentication status and the request. Open it, open the function. Okay, if is protected route, if the requested route is in that protected list, in that situation I need to make sure auth dot protect. Okay, so if the route which is comes inside that specific route, we need to protect that specific route. So save it. Good. So now we configured our middle end. Then what I need to do is I need to create ourselves our routing configuration, the custom authentication page. So in order to bring the custom authentication page, what I need to do is inside the source, inside the app. So over here, all I have to do is to create a new folder, which is going to be a group. So let's wrap it inside the bracket auth. Inside the auth only, we are going to create ourselves the custom pages like sign in and sign up. So if you check it out over here, you can see, so go to the previous page and there you can, or you can simply click this page, so that will takes you over here. So you can see app, inside the app you need to create this folder. So that's the reason we created ourselves a custom group auth. Inside that specific auth group I need to create this folder sign up. So let me create a new folder called sign up, and in one more folder called sign in, sign up, sign in, two different folders. Now inside the sign up I need to create this kind of folder structure. So let's create a new folder inside, bring the square brackets 2 times, and inside this I'm gonna spread out 1 2 3 sign up. This is the folder structure, and inside that sign up I'm going to create this page.tsx, and I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to paste it over here, save it. Then we need to do the same stuff, new folder, spread out the sign in. Inside that, I'm going to create a new file called page.tsx, and let's copy this one and let's paste it over here, sign in. And if you check it out over here for the clerk middleware, by default, clerk middleware makes all the routes as a public. So if you wish to protect any specific route, we already did that. Then we need to customize our middleware routes and everything. And at the end, we need to update our environment variable. So if you check it out in the previous step, we created our sign in and sign up, right? So you need to specify the path for your sign in and sign up URL. Either you can specify it directly in this component itself, or by using this path prop, you can specify it like this: path is equals to slash sign in or something, or you can simply copy this environment variable and you can put it inside your environment variable just like this. And all I have to do is to run this application. So let's clear this and let's say npm run dev, hit the enter, refresh it. Now this it's saying it's loading that middleware and it's navigating the user to the sign in page, and it is been loading over here. See, now we are in our local sign in page, right, which is showing sign into our personal expense tracker by using Facebook or Google or using email address. Okay, so now the auth layout is not looking that much good. So what I need to do is we need to customize the auth layout. We need to create ourselves a custom layout. In order to do that, okay, so all we have to do is to get back to our auth folder over here and right click this auth group and create a new file called layout.tsx. All right, so now don't worry, of course you will be run into this error because we don't have any default component over here. That's the reason it's showing it is. So let's bring the sfc, which is nothing but the React snippets. So all you have to do is to click this extensions and search for React snippets. Okay, so that will gives you this React snippets. So please go ahead and install the simple React snippets and as well as ES67 React snippets, these two. All right, so let me delete everything and let's bring the sfc, and here I'm gonna say dashboard auth layout, and inside here I'm gonna bring a React fragment. Okay, so let's import this. All right, so now what I'm going to do is let me get back to browser and search for hyperui.dev. So basically it provides you a pre-built UI designs. All right, so for instance, if you click the auth forms, so that is going to give you the different authentication form over here. So in this case, let's say I'm going to use this. So copy this. Now it is copied, simply as that, and then just paste it over here. All right, so and it is having this class HTML. So let's remove this. What I need to do is I need to change all the class equals to into class name, just like that. All right, so now we fixed it entirely, and now our entire dashboard will looks like this. Perfect. All right, so now what I need to do is the place inside this main tag only, the entire stuff it's being loaded. So I'm gonna collapse everything and I'm going to delete this division and I'm going to bring the children, which is nothing but our a sign in and sign up page. So we need to bring our children prop. So bring the children, which is going to be the type of the children is going to be the type of react node. Okay, so save it. So now in that specific mains location, our children, whether it is sign in or sign up, it doesn't matter, it will be loaded up over here. Here we go. So now we are inside, and now if I click this Google, and that is going to authenticate ourselves, and it is going to load that data and it will push the user to the home screen. There we go. So now we authenticated successfully. Now it doesn't matter, every time whenever you refresh, it is not going to take you to the user to the sign in page. Okay, it will directly push the user to the loading screen over here. So now let's go ahead and customize our header UI, and that is what we are going to do now. Okay, so in order to customize this header sections, all you have to do is to scroll, go inside the dashboard, go to the layout. Okay, and there you can see the vertical layout. So we customize the navigation. Now we need to fix the nav bar. So click the nav bar, control click or alt click or command click, that will take you to that specific component, and choose this nav bar content, and there you can see your nav bar content which is being loaded up over here. Okay, so for instance, I don't need this division, this entire division. So what we can do is, inside here, I don't need this link, remove it. We need this mode drop down. So this mode, we need this mode, and for the time being, I don't need this as well. As close this. So save it. If you save it, you can see the changes over here. Okay, in our application we're having these two only. So instead of this user drop down, I'm going to comment it, and I'm going to bring my custom user button from the after sign out. It should push the user to the home screen. So this is the custom user button that we are creating over here. So save these changes, and we don't need this menu. So let's delete it, save it, and let's delete these two as well, as because we don't need the unwanted import statement should be there. And you can see we have our custom drop down profile button provided by the Clerk application. Okay, so now we have ourselves these two options over here. Okay, but it doesn't have the space. So in order to increase the space, I'm just going to say space X as 4. So that will bring some space over there. Okay, so now we have ourselves finished our header, the nav bar, so which is completely done. All right, so next what we need to do is we need to bring this budgets, and we need to load this budgets. Currently we don't have the budgets, that's the reason it's showing that 404, which is not found. Okay, so but here if you click the budgets, it's having this nice UI where it's displaying the budgets and everything. So that is what we need to bring now. All right then, so now what we have to do is we have to create something like this. So in order to bring this, so all I have to do is to get back to over here, close all, collapse everything, and inside the source, inside the app, inside the dashboard, I'm going to create a new page over here called budgets. So please make sure the spelling name, which is exactly the same thing which we used inside our navigation vertical menu, I think so. Yep, which should be exactly the same as this. And let me create one more folder called expenses. Okay, so don't worry about that. Let's fix the budgets first. Close this. And inside this budgets, I'm going to create a new file called page.tsx. So basically this budget is going to be SFC, which is going to say budgets page. And inside here, let's use div, let's say budgets page, save it. And now if I click this budgets, that should load this budgets page. So before moving into this complete UI part and everything, let's integrate our backend with our application. So let me stop the server, clear it, and let's install the package npm install Prisma. So basically we are going to use the Prisma adapter. So Prisma, and we need one more package called Prisma slash client. These two packages, npm install Prisma and at Prisma client. So hit the enter. So that will install those two packages. Okay, and let's open up our MongoDB. So search for MongoDB. Let me bring it, keep it over here, and let me sign in with my account. All right, so we logged in. So once, if you're using MongoDB for first time, so it is going to ask you a different bunch of questions, just like you will be navigated exactly to this page, because it will ask you to create yourself a new cluster where you're using the free or shared resources and all those things. So in this case, we are going to use for learning purpose only. So I'm going to use this free resources. Okay. So you need to use the free resources because currently I do have already one cluster which is already loaded. So I can keep only one free cluster, not two, one or more than one. I can't keep the free clusters. So if you're using it for first time, you will see the free cluster over here. So choose the free cluster. You choose any kind of provider as you wish. Choose your nearby location and create that cluster. In this case, I'm already going to use my existing free cluster itself, the cluster 0. That is the one which we are going to use. Okay, once you set up those cluster, you need to enable your database access. So who can access your database? Admin. So create yourself a new admin, and then your network access. Enable your network access too. All right, so let's get back to the database over here. So click the database and browse the collection. Okay, so I think, let me log out and use the another account. I think I logged in into another account. Log in. Let me choose this one. Choose the database. Browse the collection. Okay, so here we go. So I do have this expense tracker already over here. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to create myself a database over here. Either you can create yourself your own database. For instance, let's say I'm going to create myself a new database called YouTube expense tracker. This is the one. So I'm going to copy it. So let's say, for instance, for the time being, I'm going to create an empty collection over here called sample, right? So now I have myself the YouTube expense tracker with the sample collection data. So I don't need this table. If you don't need it, we can delete it later. Okay, so now I have this. So all I have to do is to get back over here. So let me keep the database name over here because I don't want to miss it. So you need to click this connect option. So click the connect option. And if you expand this drivers options, you can see we are going to use the Node.js and all those things. So here you can see this is the connection string. Okay. You need to know your admin password as well as, so please may copy your admin password before that, so you can access that from here, from your database access, so the user which you have. So in this case, I already know what is the password is. So you guys please go ahead and create yourself a new user and copy that password and keep it somewhere and then put it over there. So I'm going to copy this connection string. Okay, let's keep it in that way. Now what I need to do is I need to generate the Prisma first. So let's say npm Prisma init. Oops, sorry. So we need to execute that command. So npx Prisma init, and there we go. So now we can see it's showing the git ignore file and all those things have been added, and the client is being generated and everything. So if you get back over here, you should be able to see the Prisma folder. Inside that, you should be able to see the Prisma.schema. Okay, currently it's using this PostgreSQL, so we need to use this MongoDB as our data store provider, and it has this database URL where inside our environment variable you can see it's using the database URL which is generated by the Prisma, right? So this URL needs to be deleted, and then this URL needs to be copied and pasted it over here. So let me enable the word wrap so you can see it clearly. All right, So now what we need to do is, so we need to bring our admin URL password. Okay, so basically my admin password, which is going to be admin itself, that's the password. Okay, don't worry, I will change it later. All right, so then what I need to do, I need to supply the database name over here. So I'm going to copy that database name from here, cut it, and I'm going to put it over here, database name. So save it. Now our connection string is ready. So let me get back over here. The environment variable and everything is fine. Save it, save it. Okay. So now what I need to do is, all we have to do is to customize this schema. So for customizing the schema, I already have the code in our gist file. So if you open my GitHub and go to my gist, you are just where it is. So don't worry, I already dropped the link in the description below, so you can open that gist. You can see this complete code over here. This is the code. So all I'm going to do is to copy this from here, and I'm going to paste it over here like this. MongoDB relationship mode, Prisma, and this is the model that we are using for budget, and this is the model that we are using for expense. So basically we are generating the ID automatically by using this default auto function, and we need to map it with our MongoDB ID parameter. So that's the data object ID, and we are creating the user ID, which is coming from our authentication, name, amount, icon, and the expenses, which is an array. For single budget, you can have multiple expenses. That is how we created this relationship. And this is the expenses model which we have and which is related to the budgets. Okay, so save these changes. It's completely saved now. Then let's now the Prisma model, it's updated now. All I have to do is to generate the Prisma. So let's say npx Prisma generate. So we need to generate our client side. So now the client side has been generated. Then npx Prisma db push. We need to push our entire model into our database. Hit the enter. So now it is loading this YouTube. Okay, so now we can see the collection budgets and the collection expenses are being successfully pushed. If you are getting any error like authentication, username or password error, so you need to very carefully type your admin username and the password and place the database in properly in that specific location. So now if I get back over to my cluster, close it, browse the collection, and now if I open this, you can see I do have the budgets and I do have the expenses along with my sample. So we successfully loaded our Prisma model. Now all I have to do is to get back over here into the page.tsx, and all I have to do is to create something like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, inside this page.tsx, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this function as the asynchronous function. All right, and first I need to access the user ID. So const, we need to get that user ID. So in order to get that user ID, I can access that user ID from where? From the auth package provided by the clerk. Okay, auth, and I can access the user ID, save it. Okay, so if there is no user ID, then we need to return the user to redirect from next navigation, open it, navigate the user to slash, save it. Perfect. So then what I have to do is right after here, let's bring the budgets. Const budgets equals to, I need to fetch all the budgets before. So let's say await db dot. Okay, so basically now I need to create this database instance. So we need that database instance. So what I'm going to do is, let's get back to the utils folder. Utils, let's say db.ts. So using the Prisma client, I'm going to create the database instance and I'm going to use it for the production. I'm going to create that database instance globally, because every time whenever you're accessing the database, we don't want to create that instance again and again and again. We need to create the instance for one time, then we need to use it for multiple times. So in order to do that, let's create that import Prisma client from @Prisma client. Oops, not this one. Prisma client from @Prisma client. Then declare a global variable, global object. Inside that, I'm going to create the Prisma, which is going to be the Prisma client, or it is going to be the type of undefined. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is const db is equals to either use this global this dot Prisma variable, come on, or create a new Prisma client. If it doesn't exist, create a new Prisma client, or else use that exist variable. If it is in the production, so process dot env dot node env. If that is not equals to production, in that situation you need to use this global this dot Prisma should use the database instance. Okay, this is supposed to be or no. Save it. Still we are getting unexpected where use let or const. Okay, so let's use the let keyword over here. So if we are using let, it's showing the all right, so this is fine. This is just the type error only, so we can ignore it and we can fix this later. This is the issue from the ESLint, so don't mind it. So close this. Now we can access that database instance from the utils folder, db dot budgets. So let's get the complete budgets over here. So budgets dot find many, open it, and we need to use the var, which is going to be the user created by the user, and we need to include the expenses tables as well as expenses table, which should be true. Then we need to order the entire database based on the created at in the descending order. So save the changes. Now all I have to do is to change this UI. So class name, which is going to be flex column, and inside this dashboard page, which is going to have the budget client, which we don't have yet. So this is going to have the budgets itself, which is going to be the budget itself. So let's go ahead and create ourselves the client. So right inside this folder, create a new folder called underscore components. And inside the underscore components, I'm going to create a new file called client.tsx. And here I'm going to say rafc, which is going to be this one. Let's say budgets client, and right above this one I'm gonna mark this component as a client component. So make sure that is as a client component. Okay, and let's import this one, import it from there and save it. You should be able to see the budget clients over here. I think I stopped the server. Yes, npm run dev and refresh it. So you should be able to see the budgets over here. So still it's loading. Let's wait. Here we go. So we are seeing the budgets client now. So we need to fix this type error because it doesn't have any props and everything. So let's go and create ourselves a props. So interface budgets client props, open it, which is going to be the budgets itself, which is going to be the type of budgets from our Prisma client, and import it. Okay, and let's bring this over here, which is going to be the budgets. So which is coming from where? Budgets client props. So save these changes. There we go. So now this budgets needs to be this type error is fixed over here. And now if you check it out over here, budgets dot length, so that is going to give you the length count. So far we don't have any budgets in our database, so that's the reason it's showing it as 0. So now let's go ahead and customize this client, which is should look exactly something like this. So let's bring this option over here. Okay, so let's get back over there, and let me delete this completely. Perfect. Okay, Okay, so here I'm just going to create a div which is going to say class name, flex, everything should be in the column direction. Inside here I'm going to create one more div which is going to say flex column, and on the medium devices it should be on a row, flex row, and the item, everything should be in the starting point, justify, everything should be in the starting point, and on the medium device it should be in the center, and on the medium device it should be justify between. So save these changes and let's bring the word wrap over here. All right, perfect. Now inside this division I need to create this component. So basically this is going to be a reusable component called heading. I'm going to create myself a new heading component which is not yet there. So inside this components folder I'm going to create a new file called heading.tsx here, and mark this as the client component, and let's say refc, and let's say heading. All right, save it, and let me bring that heading component over here from add component / heading. So save these changes. What is this? All right, so now you should be able to see that heading over there. Okay, so let's jump into the heading. So inside this heading now, what I need to do is, so basically this heading is going to have two different props. Okay, so let's create the props for it. Interface, which is going to be the heading props, open it, one which is going to be the title itself, and it should be a string. Then it need to have this description which is going to be an optional field, and that is also going to be a string. So let's destructure it over here with the heading props, and let's bring our title and as well as the description. Save it, and let's get back our title over here, title, and let's bring our description. So basically our title, which is going to be my budgets, and the description, it's going to be manage your budgets here. Save it. Now you should be able to see those changes, but nothing is happening. I don't know why. Refresh it. Okay, still over here it's showing as the heading. It's because we have everything as the heading only inside. So let's go ahead and customize it. So inside this division, I'm going to bring the #2 tag, which is going to display the title. Then I'm going to bring, if that is the description, and then I need to bring a paragraph tag, which is going to display the description. Save it. This is how it looks. Okay. All right, so now we have the budgets and we have our headings, which is fixed and which is looking exactly something like this. Next, what I need to do is I need to display the budgets, overall budgets count, and we need to calculate the remaining, how much I do have. So in order to calculate this, for instance, we need to sum all these budgets, and inside each budget you can have multiple expenses. So we need to find out for each budget how much expenses are there, and we need to reduce that expenses from our budgets total. To do that, we need that budgets along with the expenses. We need to fetch the budget, and then we need to get the expenses along with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to customize this type. I need the budgets, and along with this I need to get the expenses which is coming with the budgets, the expenses which is coming with the budgets. So which is going to be the expenses array, and this budget is also going to be an array. Save it. So by this way you can access the expenses for each and every budgets. Okay, now I do have this budgets and along their expenses. So let's calculate the overall budgets. First, what we need to do, we need to calculate the overall budgets. So we need to simply add it. So const overall budgets equal to budgets dot reduce. Use the reduce function. So let's create two different parameter inside this function. Create a get a callback function inside, and let's say const amount is equals to parse float. Let's parse to the float value budget dot amount. Okay, if it is not there, use it as 0. Okay, then all I have to do is to return total plus amount. So by this way we will have ourselves the overall budget. Okay, so now, right, if it doesn't have any value, simply return it as 0. Okay, so now we have our overall budget. So if the budget array is completely empty, it is going to return it as 0. If the budget is having some value, it's going to iterate through each and every budget, and it's going to use that budget amount value. If the budget dot amount is not there, it simply is going to use the 0 as the value, and it's going to find the total. It's going to return it to the overall budget. If it is the budget data itself, it's completely not there, it's going to simply return the value as 0. That's the reason of using the reduce function. Then I need to calculate the overall total expenses. Calculate the total expenses for each functions. Total expenses. So if you calculate the total expenses, then we can reduce the total expenses from our overall budget. So I can display both of the values over there. Okay, so const total expenses, const total expenses, which is equals to budgets dot reduce, open it, get the total, along with that get the budget, call the callback function, const budget wise expenses, budget expenses is equals to budget dot expenses dot reduce, open it, get the expenses total, along with that we need to get the expense data, bring the callback function, const amount is equals to parse the value, parse float, open it, we need to supply the expense dot amount, otherwise supply it as 0. Then we need to return the expense total plus with the amount which we have over here. If it is not there, simply return the value as 0. If the entire expenses itself completely empty, simply return the value as 0. So save it. Okay, so before here we need to return one more value, return total plus budget expenses. So basically what we are doing over here is, for each and every budget we do have certain expenses, right? So we are calculating those budget expenses. So for each and every budget expenses we are finding the total sum, and we are adding that expenses collectively, and we are finding the overall total expenses for the entire budgets, not for this specific budgets alone. So we need to, in the same function, we need to find out the budget wise overall expenses, and it's going to return that total outside. This is what it's doing. This function, it's simply calculating the budget wise total, then it's returning outside, and we are calculating the overall budget wise expenses. So in a single function we are doing the same thing. By using the reduce method, we are finding budget wise overall expenses and expenses for the entire budgets. Okay, so you should understand that that is what this function is doing. Then we need to calculate the remaining overall budget. So const remaining budget is equals to overall budgets minus total expenses. Save it. Okay, so now let's go inside and let's use that. So right after this heading, I'm going to create a div with a class name flex, item center, and a gap with 4. And inside here, I'm going to create one more div class name, flex item center and gap as 2. Inside this, I'm going to bring this typography provided by the material UI. Close this, which is going to display the text as budget, and it's going to use the variant as the body 1. So if you save it, and there we go, you can able to see that budget 1 over there. Then right after here, I need to bring one more typography, which is going to be the variant of h4, and which is going to be class name flex item center. And inside this typography, I'm gonna bring this circle dollar sign, class name width 6 h6. Then let's bring the overall budgets to fixed with the 2 decimal units. So save these changes. You should be able to see that over there. Perfect. Then right after here, I'm gonna copy this division completely, paste it, and here we need to display the remaining budgets. Remaining, this is remainings. Okay, so now we have the budget and the remainings. So here, instead of overall, I'm just going to simply say the remaining budgets. Save the changes. Now if you change the color, this is how it looks on that thing. Okay, perfect. Okay, so if you wish to have different colors as well as change the colors, that's how it looks. Perfect. So now we have that. Next, I need to bring a divider, something like this. So let's go ahead and bring that divider. So where we need to bring the divider, right after this division. Divider. So here, let's bring the divider from material UI, bring the divider, and I'm gonna increase the margin top and bottom, which is going to be 6. So say this changes, you should be able to see that divider over here. Perfect. Then right after that, what I need to do is, if you check it out over here, we're having these budgets, which is a grid layout. So here we have this model. So if I click this, it is going to pop this model up. So in order to bring that, what I need to do is, so right after here, I'm going to bring a grid container from the material UI grid. So if you don't understand what I'm typing over here, so simply you can search for MUI, material UI, click this, and you can click the docs over here and search for grid. Oops, simply search for grid. Not data grid. This is completely different. Okay. Oh, so simply search for grid alone. See, you can understand how they are using the grid and how they are making it responsive and everything. You can understand it from there. So for this grid, what I'm going to do is this grid, which is basically, it's going to be a container grid, which means even if you are expanding it completely, it is not going to push out of it, right? That's the reason for a very large screens, so it need to be wrapped inside it. That's the reason we are using it as the container, because container, you can check the maximum width is going to be, I think it should be 1240 pixels, something like that. I'm not sure, but something like that. So spacing, which is going to be 2, both vertical and horizontal. Then inside here, I'm going to bring the grid item. Grid, close this. This is going to be the grid item, and on very small devices XX, which is going to be take the complete 12 columns, but on the medium devices onwards it should take the 4 columns out of 12. So here we need to bring that create budget option. So basically, then right after here, I'm going to use the budgets dot map, open it, bring the budget inside, open it, and I'm going to bring the grid. Then I need to supply the key prop key, which is going to be the budget dot id itself. Then I'm going to bring item on x it should be 12, but on the medium devices onwards it should be 4, and inside here we need to display that budget. Save it. So currently we don't have anything because we don't have those two specific components and everything. So let's go ahead and create that create budget. Okay, so now what we have to do is, so let's get back over here, and inside this components I'm gonna say create budget.tsx, and let's make this as the client, use client. Okay, then inside here I'm gonna say rafc, let's say create budget component. So save this, let's bring it over here, create budget, save it. So that should bring the create budget. So let's get back over here inside this create budget. So I'm going to delete this and I'm going to keep this react dot fragment like this. Inside here I need to bring that create model, because when you click this you should be able to see this model. See this model we need to bring that. And right after here, then I need to bring the card, which is coming from material UI card. Inside this card, I need to bring the button, and this button is going to have this plus icon, class name, width 5, height 5. Save it. And then right after here, I'm just going to say create your budget, something like this. You should be able to see something like this. Okay, so for this card what I'm going to do is card variant, which is going to be the outlined variant, outlined. Then class name, which is going to be border, we need the border and it should be the dashed border. Then border should be 2, and height, of course I'm going to fix the height to 28, and flex, everything should be center. Save it. That's how it looks. Whenever the user clicks on click, why whenever user clicks this component, we need to call a callback function. Okay, so this is the place where it's going to click this and it's going to bring that option. So but if you move your cursor inside, you can see the button, it's not having that. So we need to make some adjustments for this button. So if we change the UI also, the color, everything is changing perfectly. For this button, what I'm going to do is it's going to be type as the button itself. Then variant, of course it is going to be the text variant. Then okay, so then let's add this class name. Flex, of course it's going to be the column direction. Gap y, it's going to be 4, and width, of course it should be full. Height, of course it should be full. And on hover, I'm going to make the transparent bg as the transparent. So save this. This is how it should looks. Okay, so let's bring this on click event for this function. On click, bring the callback function. Okay, So now whenever I click this, it is going to have trigger that callback function. Okay, so currently we don't have the create model. So let's go ahead and create that create model first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new component over here called create model.tsx. Okay, let's make sure this as the use client component. Okay, so whenever you're working with model, we should be very careful because this model could cause the sometimes it will cause you the hydration issues also, because we need to fix that hydration issues also, because this model, so hydration issue, it will happen whenever the client component is loaded before the server side component. It should wait, the client component needs to wait until the server component successfully loaded, then only the client component needs to be mounted. So that's the point where you get the hydration issue, right? So we need to be very careful whenever you're working with this. So here RAFC create model, save it, and let's bring that create model over here. Okay, so for this create model, let's create the props first. Interface create model props. It's going to have a boolean value whether it is opened or not. So boolean, and then close on close, which is going to be a callback function which is returning the type as void. Then let's destructure it over here. Create model props. Let's bring is open and as well as the on close property. Okay, perfect. And right, so now let's go ahead and bring all those fix the hydration errors and all those things. All right, so let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so next what I need to do is I'm going to create a state, and let's name that state as is mounted. And by default this is going to be false. Okay, then right after here I'm going to bring the use effect hook, which is going to take a two different parameter. One is going to be a function and another one is going to be the array dependency injection. And here I'm just going to say set is mounted by default as, change this as true. So here then if it is not mounted, then we need to return it as null. All right, so by this way we can fix that hydration issue. Okay, so that's the reason we are writing these codes and everything. All right, so and let's go ahead and bring those models and everything, because for model what we are going to do is, okay, so now we need to create a model. So basically we can use the same model somewhere for any other purposes as well as, right? So we need to create a global component called model. So what I'm going to do is inside the components folder, I'm going to create a new file called model.tsx, and let's make this as a client, use client, then RAFC model, something like this. So this model is going to take interface model props, which is going to be, it's going to take the title itself, which is should be a string. Then it's going to take the description, which it's going to be string as well as. Then is open as a hook, sorry, the boolean value, boolean. Then on close, which is going to be a function which is going to take and return void as the function empty value. Then it should take the children, which is going to be an optional prop and which is going to be the react node. Okay, then let's destructure all those things over here. Let's say what is it, model props, and let's destructure those title, description, and is open and on close and then children. Save those changes. So now we have all those necessary informations which we needed. Okay, let me enable the word wrap and let's get into the MUI and search for dialog. Okay, so this is the dialog. This is not the dialog. Where it is? API, not API. Get into the components. Inside the components. Yep, model. Here we go. See, this is what we are going to bring inside the model. All right. Okay, so we have a different variants over here: plain, model, outlined, soft, solid. So we have different layouts and everything. Okay, so you can just go through over here, so we can play around with this MUI and everything. So let's get back over here. Okay, so I'm gonna create a customized dialog box. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do is, so if you check it out over here, if I click this, the model right now, it is not taking the entire width. But if the same model, if we get back over here, this should take the entire width, right? So that's the reason. So in order to create a responsive model, what I'm going to do is right after here, so we are going to create a styled dialog option. So this is the one. So we are going to create a styled dialog option. Okay, so basically the styled function, which is coming from @material UI / @material, okay, /styles. From that we are getting the styles option, and we are getting the dialog option from @material UI, material UI. Okay, so save these changes. So basically what we are doing over here is, so we are just adjusting some styles for our dialog content and adjusting the style for our dialog actions. So based on the theme, whatever the theme that we are using, based on the theme, we are customizing these styles, contents and everything. Okay, so now we have the bootstrap dialog. So inside here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new state, okay, which is going to be the set max width. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this use state should be the dialog props from add material, and for that I'm going to set the max width, okay, which is going to be SM. That's the maximum width that we are assigning for our. So if I open it, this is the small screen, small size. That's the maximum width that we are assigning. If you're changing into LG, it is going to be a little bit bigger, something like this. Okay, I will show you. So what are all? So basically these are the props which is provided by the material UI itself. That's the reason I opened the documentation and show you for customizing these sizes and everything. So you just need to go through their documentation to play around with these options. So close this and let's bring the bootstrap dialog, open it, and this, it should use the full width, the full width which it's going to be true. It should be full width true, but the maximum width will always based on the max width property which we do have in our hand, max width. Then on close, what I'm going to do, I'm going to call our on close function, save it. Then area labeled by customized dialog. That's the area label which we are giving, and whenever it is open, this open option should be based on the is open boolean value, and the class name which is going to be overflow visible. The overflow should be visible. So save these changes, and right inside this Okay, so here for the time being over here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the dialog title from the material UI. Inside here, I'm going to bring the title, and then we need to bring the dialog content. Let's bring the dialog content, which is going to be the children, and this content should use the dividers. And right after here, I need to bring the close icon, so icon button, okay, which is going to be a close icon. So X from Lucid React, class name, width should be 4 and height should be 4, something like this. For this icon button, I'm gonna give the area label, which is going to be close, and on click, whenever I'm clicking it, it should call this on close function. On close function. Then on small device, it should be using the position as absolute position. Then from the right, it should be 8. Then top, it should be 8. Then color of this should be based on the theme color, theme dot palette dot gray 500. Oops, gray is an array. It should use this. Save it. This is how it should looks like. So currently, we don't have this. We don't see anything over here. Okay. So what we need to do is, let's get back to the create model. This is the place where we are displaying that create model, right? So here I'm gonna bring that model from add components model, close it, and for the time being, this is the form, something like that. And for this, I'm gonna send the title, which is going to be create a budget. Then description, which is going to be this action cannot be undone, something like that. Okay, for the time being. All right, and then over here is open, which is going to be based on is open state, which we created over here, the prop. Let me enable the word wrap. Then and on close should be mapped with the on close function, which we created over here. So save those changes. All right, so now what I need to do is, let's jump back to the create budget. So here I'm going to bring that create model. So create model, or this model is open. For this state, I'm going to bring the open state. Okay, so I'm going to create a new state over here. Use state. Use state, let's say open, which is going to be by default, it's going to be false. Okay, so this one, it is going to be the open. Then on close, which is going to be a callback function, which is going to say set close, set open as false, something like that. So save these changes. Now if you save it, this is how it looks. But if I click this, it need to change this state, open state. So what I need to do is, instead of calling this empty function, I'm going to say set open as true. Save it. And now if I click that, you should be able to see the create model. So this button is changing the state, this open state. So that's the reason the state is changed. So it's triggering the create model. So the create model will come over here. It will trigger this model component, which is having this model props, right? So basically the model, it's passing the title and it's passing the description, and it's having some children in it. The children's are rendered over here, but we didn't use the description, so we need to use the description. Okay, so we having this hydration fix error use effect over here. So if there is any hydration issue, this will be resolved that issue. This model component will be triggered, so that's the reason this model component is being triggered over here. Now if I change this to, instead of small, if I change this to XL, you can see some changes in the sizes. So that's the reason we are fixing some, playing around with these custom width and everything. See the styles, it's changing the styles and everything. Okay, so let's get into the model now. So what I need to do is over here. Okay, so if you check it out, yeah, these are the things. All right, perfectly fine. Then right over here, now what I need to do is, so I think I don't need any descriptions, but if you wish to have the description as well as, you can keep the dialog description. So I think it doesn't have the dialog description option. I think so. Dialog title. Yep, it doesn't have the dialog description. But if you wish to keep the description, we can keep the description straight away over here. Over here. We can keep it over here. But in this case, okay, I'm not going to use this. So let's make this as an optional one. So save it. All right. Perfect. And I'm gonna delete this description because I'm not going to use this description. Close this. Perfect. So inside this children content, which is coming from where? From here. So this is the place where we are going to have our complete forms and everything, right? So in order to use that forms and everything, what we are using, we are going to use the React hook form. Okay, and we are going to use the Zod. So basically we are going to use this Zod, this one. Okay, so click this on documentation, and if you check it out over here, um mm, 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 mm. Where it is, it's having all these data types and objects and everything. Okay, and so along with this Zod only, we are going to use this React hook form. This one, React hook form. This is the one that we are going to use this with that. Okay, so don't worry, we will get through it. Okay, so if you check it out over here, for each and every data types, if you click this strings or date times and all those things, it provides you different types of validations options, right? So along with this, we're going to use this React hook form. React hook form, these two things. So click the React hook form, and all you have to do is to click this get started option, and that is going to give you this options and everything over here. Okay, so if you click this TypeScript, if you click this TypeScript, you can see the control options, how they are using the control setups and everything, and how they are using the field values inside in it. All these options are here. Okay, so basically this is what they are using over here. Okay, so so if you click this get started option, very simple, open it, click the get started option, and use this integrating controlled inputs. Basically we are going to integrate the controlled inputs. If you check it out over here, so how they are using the control inputs and how they are setting up those default values and everything, and how they are using the controlled component options in order to get those field props and everything. Okay, so basically this is what we are going to use now. Okay, so let's keep this thing aside over here. So right inside here, so first I need to install those two packages, destructure it. So first I need to install the Zod. So npm install Zod. Then I need to install the React hook form, just like this, React hook form. Hit the enter. Perfect. Then inside this model now, So first, what I need to do is I need to create a form schema. So let's go ahead and create that form schema. So const form schema, which is going to be z. So basically the z is coming from where? From the zod. So z dot object, open it as in, and here first field, which is going to be the name field, which is going to be the string, z dot string, and it should have the minimum value length as 2. If there is any error, I need to bring this custom message, which is going to be budget title cannot be empty. Budget title cannot be empty. Close this. Then I need to bring the icon, which is, that is also going to be a string. Then it should have the minimum letter string as 1. Then it should have this message, please select an emoji. Okay, emoji. Then at last we need to bring the amount. So basically amount, which is going to be the string type only, because in the schema we defined it as a string. If you check it out your schema, see, we define the amount as a string. Okay, so in that situation I'm going to take that value as a string, then I'm going to refine that value, get the value out of it, then I'm going to parse those value into float value if it is greater than 0. Okay, so we need to pass that value only if it is greater than 0, otherwise we can simply leave it as it is. Then it should be amount must be greater than 0. Okay, this is the error message that we are giving. If it is not greater than 0, simply it is going to display this message, otherwise it's going to leave it as empty. So save these changes. This is what the form schema is going to be. All right, now we have the form schema. Oops, this form schema, let's keep this form schema outside over here. That would be better. Okay, because we need to keep it as a global. Okay, so keep the form schema outside of your component. Then just like this, I'm going to create a form over here. Right after here, const form, which is going to be use form hook, which is coming from where? React hook form. So just like this, use form hook, and it's going to use this types. Okay, so basically it's need to use the type, custom type z dot infer, which is going to use the type of our custom form schema. So this use form use this custom field property values. Okay, that's the reason we created the scheme where. So basically Zod is the validator. So form validator, and use form is just a form. So we are going to get the form and we are going to combine the Zod validator. They will work together and they will pass the values as an object whenever the form gets submitted. That's what we are doing over here. Okay, use form, open as an object, and the mode should be, keep it as all. Then resolver, what kind of resolver that we are using? We are using the Zod resolver. Okay, Zod resolver should come automatically. It is not coming. All right, in that situation what we can do, we can import it by ourselves. Import from at hook. Okay, it is not showing. Then Zod resolver. Okay, it is not showing. So what we have to do is we need to install this package by ourselves. Npm install at hook Zod resolvers Zod. It's a type. What is it happening? Oops, this one. I think my bad. I just Okay, we don't need to mention the Zod, just need to give the ad hoc resolvers. My bad. Okay, so now we should access those things, ad hoc resolver slash Zod. From that, I'm going to access this Zod resolver. Perfect. Then I can use the Zod resolver over here. So basically this Zod resolver is going to use our form schema values in it, whatever the values that we defined. And the default values of the form should be, the name should be an empty string, and then icon. By default, the icon should be the smile icon. Where the smile icon? Okay, here we go. Then I need to bring the amount. So by default, the amount value, it's going to be an empty string, something like this. Okay, so save it. Then now it's showing this form is declared but never used. Okay, leave that issue, we can fix this later. Then what I need to do is I'm gonna get two different states value from the form dot state, form state, sorry, form dot form state. I'm gonna get whether the form still it's submitting, whether the form is valid or not, or whether the form is having the errors or not. So these are the state values that I need to access from the form state. Okay, then I need to create one more option, const router is equals to use router, because if the form submitted successfully, we need to navigate the user to that specific budget router. All right, then const on submit, because we need to create this handler function, because on submit handler function C, which is handling this submit handler function. Okay, which is going to be an asynchronous function, which is going to access those values from it, which is the type of the form schema type itself, type of form schema. Okay, it's going to return this. Then I'm going to simply say console.log values, save these changes. All right, so now next what I need to do is I need to use this on submit function whenever the form is being successfully submitted. So inside this model, I'm gonna bring the form. So bring the form. So we don't need this actions at all. Close this actions and let's bring the on submit. Whenever the form is being submitted, we need to handle those form submit event through this on submit event which we created. So that's how you need to handle the form. Then inside here, I'm gonna bring the box from the material UI. If you search for, okay, so I think I closed it. Search for MUI, open it. Search for box. See, something like this. Simply outline the division. Okay, so I'm gonna bring a box from at material UI. Close this. So this on SXX on the small devices, which should be a display as what? Flex. Then the flex direction should be column, and then gap, which should be 12 pixels. This is on small devices, right? Then inside this division, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring a class name width as full, flex item center, gap it's going to be 2, py it's going to be 3. And inside this division, now what I need to do is I need to bring the controller, so which is going to be something like this, the controller. So I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste it. Let's bring the controller from React hook form, and the name of the field, which is going to be name itself, and then it's going to use the form.control rules. We can keep this field as a required field only, because of course it is required one. Then whenever it is rendering, I don't need to bring this checkbox. Instead of this, what I need to do is I need to bring this text field, which is coming from material UI. Text field, keep this as a self-closing one, enter. For this text field, if there is any error, is happening, bring the errors dot name. Okay, so basically this is going to be as a boolean value, but this name is going to return a string value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this double exclamatory symbol, so that will convert this into a boolean value. Okay, then class name, it should take the complete length, so flux1. Then id, we can keep the id as the standard one, standard name basic look, something like this. Okay, then for this I'm going to bring the label. Okay, so if there is error, if the error is there, if the errors dot name is exist, then the label should display the error dot name dot message. Otherwise it should display the label as budget dot title. So what we are trying to do is, because if we click this, if I type something, the error will not be there. See, it should have minimum 2 different letters. If I don't have the, it's completely changed by budget title cannot be empty, but if I type something, it's see, it's saying as a budget title. So that is what we are trying to implement over here. All right, so budget title, then the variant of this is going to be outline. So if you want to look into this text field as well, as simply search for the text field option. Otherwise go inside the components where it is inputs. Why it is opening the, yeah, here we go, text field. See, outline, fill, the standard. You can play around with this. These are the different designs, UI designs that you can use. Okay, so please go ahead and play around with those options. So variant, which is going to be outlined, then I need to destructure all the default properties provided by the field which is coming from the parameter. All right, then I'm going to supply the input props for this text field. So input props, open it. It should be start adornment, open it. Input adornment, which is coming from the text field from the material UI, and this position is going to be starting position. And here I need to bring the icon, which is going to be the wallet minimal from the Lucid React. Close this. All right, so save these changes, and now this should bring, let me run this npm run dev. Okay, it's loading, still loading. So now we should, whenever you click this, so if you are wondering what is this input element and all those things, if you check it out the material UI, you can see how to keep the icons and everything. See, just like this is what we are using, how to keep those icons and everything with the field. You can just play around with this icons or elements, this input adornments. This is what I use. See, all you have to do is to just play around with this all these fields, props and everything. It will take some time, of course you will get through it. So open it, and now I can see my icon. And if I didn't type something, see, the budget title cannot be empty, but if I type something, it will keep it as it is. And the UI in the light screen, this is how it looks. All right, perfectly fine. All right, so now we have those input values. Next, what I need to do, I need to bring the icon. See, the icon, this is the one that we need to bring over here. So for that icon, what we need to do is we need to bring the emoji picker. So for that, I'm going to use this emoji picker React option. Let me bring this emoji picker React. This is the one. So I'm going to use that. So let me install that one. npm install emoji picker React. Install it. All right, so let's import that emoji picker. So if you open it, you can understand how they are using on all those things. All right, so see, this is how you need to install it. And all the way at the bottom you can see how to use this. So copy this line and import that line over here. Let me import it over here for the time being. All right, perfectly fine. Then let me scroll down straight away right after here. So right after here, I'm going to create one state in order to open and close that emoji picker. So let's say open emoji picker, and by default it is going to be false, of course. All right, then what we need to do is we need to bring that emoji picker. So let's scroll all the way to the bottom, and let me copy this controller from here. Controller, copy it. Okay, so I'm gonna bring one more controller, but this time this is going to be the icon for that particular field, form control, and let's remove this required field options over there and rendered instead of this text field. I'm gonna close this, and I'm going to bring a button which is going to be the variant as outlined button, and for this class name, of course, py, which is going to be 4, and the border gray should be 300. All right, then on click, whenever I'm clicking, I'm gonna call this set open emoji picker as true. Oh, sorry, not open emoji picker. If it is open, close it. If it is closed, open it. And here I need to display the field value. Whatever the field value it is, I need to display that field value. Okay, and I need to destructure all the field other properties. So now I should be able to see the plus. So you can see we have this. Now if I click this, I need to bring that emoji picker. So where I can display that emoji? So right after this division, inside the box only we do have this division. So right after this division, make sure there is this division. So right after this particular division, if there is open emoji picker, if this particular state is true, then what I need to do, I need to bring a box which is going to be on SX. The position should be absolute. Sorry, relative. And inside this box only, inside this box, I'm gonna create one more box. Okay, and for this, on the small devices, position, which is going to be the fixed position, then z index, of course it should be always on the top, so 10, and inset, which is going to be 0, and then overflow, which is going to be visible, and then display, which is going to be the flex, and the align items, which is going to be the center, and justify content, which is going to be the center. Inside here, I'm gonna bring that emoji picker. Okay, so on emoji click, whenever the emoji it's been clicked, we're gonna get that event, open it, open a callback function. I'm gonna set form dot set value. I'm gonna set that value for the icon. What I'm gonna set it, I'm gonna set the from the event, I'm gonna access that emoji, then I'm going to assign that emoji to that form value, so that will be assigned. Then I need to set the open emoji picker value as false. Okay, so let's check it out. Now if I open it, it's going to bring that emoji, and I can choose whatever the emoji I want. For instance, let's choose this. Once I click this, it will be assigned to that form value. See, and it's changed the field value also over here. So every time whenever you're clicking it, it's going to use that new icon over here. So that field value will be instantly updated and it will be displayed over here. So right after here, I need to bring one more value, which is going to be the amount. So I'm going to copy this controller from here, copy it, scroll all the way to the bottom, paste it, and this is going to be the amount. And this time, instead of this budget title, which is going to be the amount, for example, it should be $1,000, but you don't need to type the dollars and everything, right? Just you can simply type that value. And instead of the wallet minimal, I'm just going to say badge dollar sign. So save it. So you should able to see the amount value over here. Now if I type 2, or if we simply ignore it, okay, so yep, so this field needs to be required field only. It is required only. So I need to change the errors field as well. As if there is, it should be amount. If there is error in the amount, change the amount dot message, errors dot amount message. Now you can see the value should be greater than 0. If I don't have that, it will display that error value. Perfect. Now it is working perfectly as it's supposed to be. Then right after that, what I need to do is I need to bring the actions, right? So we need to bring the action button. So let's bring the actions button, action button. All right. So right after here, let me bring the divider from the material UI. Okay. So let me make it as a class name from the margin bottom. Let's increase the margin bottom. So you should be able to see that divider straight away over here. So right after here, I need to create a div class name, flex item center, justify everything should be in the end. And the width, of course, it should be full. Gap, of course, it's going to be 3. Then I'm going to bring a button, which is going to say cancel. And this is going to be a type of button itself. Then I'm going to copy and change this to continue like this. We should be able to see 2 different buttons over here. Then for this cancel, whenever I click this, I'm going to call this on close function. Then the variant, of course, which is going to be the outlined variant. Then size of the button, which is going to be large. Okay, so this is how it should looks like. Just like the same way for this button as well as type of this button, which is going to be the submit itself, not the type. Okay, the form needs to be submitted every time. Then the size, of course, which is going to be the large. And right after here, the variant, of course, it should be contained. What? Contained. Then this button needs to be disabled. Disabled whenever the form is still it's been submitting, whenever the form is still it's submitting, or the form is not a valid form, this button needs to be disabled. So save it. You can see the button is disabled. The reason is because this form is not valid. See, and now if I have some values over here, this is enabled. Okay, and let me inspect the elements, go to the consoles, close this, and now if I submit it, you should be able to see the amount, and you should be able to see the icon, and you should be able to see the name. So we have, which means the form, it's been submitted successfully, and the value, it's been triggered, and it's been console logged properly. Okay, so now we have ourselves our form. Okay, then what I need to do is, so we need to send this value to our API in order to save this form value into our database. So let's go ahead and do that stuff. So in order to do that, what I need to do, first I need to install a package called Axios, npm install Axios. Okay, it's installed. Okay, so let's bring the try and catch. Okay, so right over here, then what I need to do is, if there is any error, we need to display that error, right? So in order to bring those toast and everything, I'm gonna use this React hot toast, this one. Okay, success, see, something like this. This is what that we are going to use. So I'm going to copy this. Okay, So let's create a providers list. So where is our providers source? Okay, so we don't have any providers, so let's create ourselves the providers folder. Inside this providers folder, I'm going to create this toast provider dot tsx, and then I'm going to create this component as a client component and rafc, and let's say toast provider, right? Let's change this and let's use it over here. So this is what it needs to be returned, and we need to install that package. Npm install react hot toast, react hot toast, and now you can import this one from there. So let's bring those import from react hot toast. From there I'm gonna get the toaster. So save these changes and let's jump into our app layout, and right after this, before this children, I'm gonna bring that toast provider. It should be inside the body. So toast provider, from there save it. Okay, so now we configure the toast provider. So let's get back to the create model. So this is the place, right? So over here, if there is any error is happening, in that situation, what I need to do is I just need to bring the toast dot error, open it. We need to supply the error in the type as error. Okay, then I can extract the message out of it. So this is what the error message will be. Otherwise, I can get the response from the API is equals to await, bring the axios dot post, open it. So I'm going to call this root slash API slash budgets, and I'm going to supply the values to it. And then if everything is working properly, what it's supposed to say, toast dot success with the messages job, we can say that as the new budget created, save it. Then right after here I need to reset the form. So form dot reset, every time whenever the form is successfully submitted, we are going to reset it. And then I need to say router dot refresh, open it. Okay, and whether the form is submitted or not, finally we need to simply close our model. Okay, this is what it should looks like. Now if you save it, of course we don't have this API, it will throws the error. So what I need to do is inside the app folder, only inside this app folder, I'm going to create a new folder called API. So slash API. Inside this API, I'm going to create a new folder called budgets. So copy it, create a new subfolder called budgets. Inside that, I'm going to create this route.ts. Make sure that is as a route.ts. Okay. So inside this route.ts, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a post method, export const post, and async. Make sure this function is an asynchronous function, open it, and this function is going to get the request, which is the type of the request itself. Okay, and inside here I'm gonna bring the try and catch. Okay, in case if there is any issues, any error is happening, what I'm going to do, I'm gonna console.log whatever the error it is, budget underscore post method. If there is any error is happening, I need to display that error, whatever the error it is, and then I need to return new next response, which is coming from next slash server, open it, and I'm going to say internal server error, something like that. Along with that, you need to supply the status code, which is should be an object, and get the status and return the status as 500 error. Okay, this is what it looks like. Then now inside this try, open it. What we need to do, we need to create that budget. So before that, I'm gonna make sure I need the user ID. So from the use auth, I'm gonna get the user ID. Let's keep the user ID. Then right after here, I'm gonna extract all those values from the form await request dot json. From the json, I'm gonna extract name, icon, and the amount. Make sure there is no spelling mistakes in it. Okay, if there is no user ID, what we need to do, we need to return the response, return new next response as unauthorized. We need to return the value as unauthorized along with the status code as 401. And then if I don't have a name or an icon or anything else, I need to return the values. If I don't have the name, what is it? We can simply say budget title is missing. Save it. We can copy it and we can paste it 2 more times. If I don't have this icon in it, I can simply say budget icon is missing. If I say budget amount, I can say budget amount is missing. So every single field needs to be checked properly. And then finally, I need to create that budget. So const budget is equals to await from the database instance, access it, use the budgets model and create a budget. Open it, open the object, supply the data into it, open it. I need to supply the user ID, I need to supply the name, then I need to supply the icon, then finally I need to supply the amount. Okay, then at last, once it's been successfully created, return the next response dot json as the budget. Okay, save these changes. Now our route is successfully created, and let's get back to the over here. All right, so don't worry about this type error. You can see it's we declared it, but we never use it. That's the reason it's showing us the type error. Don't worry about it. Let's check it out whether it is creating it or not. Let's get to the inspect elements, go to the network, clean everything, create the budget. Let's say family budget. For family, we are creating a budget. Let's say 2000 for that budget. And if I click continue, it's showing, okay, so it's showing the budget, it's been created, amount and created date, icon, ID, everything is being successfully created. Let's check it out our database over here. Click the budgets, and here we go. See, the budget is successfully created. So let's create a few more, and over here, let's say travel budget. For the traveling purpose, I'm going to use this car icon, and for this I'm going to use 600 something like that. Create, continue. There we go. So now all we have to do is to bring those budgets over here. So currently we are not displaying any budgets over here, right? So let's go ahead and display that. So we know that the data is being stored. See, the data is being stored over here, right? But we are not displaying anything over here. So that is what we need to do now. So let's go ahead and display those budgets in our client actions over here. So inside the client, we need to display that budgets, and that's what we are going to do next. All right, then. So let's go ahead and display those budgets over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say budget card item. Okay. So let's go ahead and create that. I'm going to say budget card item dot tsx, and let's keep this as the client component. And let's say rafc budget card item, and let's create an interface budget card item props, open it, which is going to be a budget from the budget from of Prisma client. And let's destructure it over here. Let's say budget card item props. Let's apply the budget, Save this changes, get back over here. Let's import it and let's apply the budget, which is nothing but our budget. Okay, so save these changes. And now you should be able to see two different budget card item, because we know that we have two different data in our budget card. Let's get back to our budget item card over here. Okay. So basically this budget needs to, for each and every budget, we need to extract the expenses as well as, right? So we need to keep it like this. Perfect. So just like the same way which we did, we calculated in the total expenses. So we need to calculate the total expenses over here. So let me copy that and let me paste it over here. Okay. So total expenses. Then what I need to do, I need to calculate the budget amount and the remaining amount. So calculate the budget amount and the remaining amount. So we need the entire expenses and we need the total budget amount, and from that budget amount we need to reduce our expenses. So const budget amount, which is going to be parse float budget dot amount. If it does have, keep that, otherwise keep it as a 0. Then const remaining amount is equals to, from the budget amount we need to reduce our total expenses. So by that way we can figure it out what is the amount that been remaining in that budget. Then we need to calculate the percentage of the budget which been used. Out of 100, how much percentage that we used. So const progress, let's keep it as the progress is equals to budget. If the budget amount is greater than 0, then what I need to do, I need to divide the total expenses by the budget amount. Then I need to multiply it with 100. Otherwise, keep it as a 0. So save these changes. All right. So now we have all those necessary fields. Then I need to create a state as well as use state. And I'm going to keep it as is loading. Whether it is still loading, by default it is going to be false. And then I'm going to bring the router. Const router is equals to use router as the next navigation. Okay, so save it. Perfect. Then what I need to do, yep, so inside here I'm going to delete this and I'm going to bring it as a card from the material UI. Save it. And for this class name, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some padding for that card, and space y, it's going to be 4. Save it. And then variant, of course, which is going to be outlined variant. Save it. Okay, so now we don't have that shadow. Inside this I'm going to have a division which is going to be flex item center and justify everything in the between. Then here I'm going to create one more div which is going to say class flex item center and the gap which is going to be 2. Okay, so if you check it out over here, how it is being looking like. So first I need to display the icon, then I need to bring the name, then I need to bring all these options and everything. All right, so let's go ahead and do that now. So inside this, first what I need to do, I need to bring the budget icon. So let's create a div class name which is going to be flex item center, justify everything in the center. BG, of course, it's going to be purple 200/50. Then rounded, of course, it's going to be full, and text, of course, which is going to be 3XL, and the minimum width, of course, it's going to be 12, and the minimum height, of course, it's going to be 12. Save these changes and let me enable the word wrap. And now you can see we have that option. And inside this division, I'm going to bring the budget icon. Budget.icon. Save it. Now I can see the icons. Then right after this division, I'm going to bring the link which is coming from next link, and href, of course, it's going to be a dynamic string which is going to be /budgets which is that is the routes, right? So keep that slash budgets. For this route, I'm going to send the dynamic ID budget dot ID. Perfect. Then inside this link, I'm going to create a div, which inside this, I'm going to bring the typography, which is going to display the budget dot name. Save it. So you should be able to see the budget dot name. And for this typography variant, of course, which is going to be h6, height 6. Then of course we don't need any wrapping, so no wrap. Then copy and paste it one more time. This time this is going to be body 1, and inside this we need to display the expenses, how many items that we do have. Expenses dot length, which is going to display the total expenses. Okay, 0 items. Inside the travel budget, we don't have any expenses over here, so that's the reason. So instead of items, we can keep it as expenses itself. 0 expenses. So that will make sense. Okay. Perfect. Then next, what we need to do, we need to bring these two options where the user can increase the budget over there. So right where this division, this is for link. Okay, this is the link has been finishing right after here. This is for that entire division. Let's keep this as the top section. Okay, here right after here, I need to bring that this option. So when I click this, it is going to bring that loading animation as well as, and it's going to display the budget value over here. So what I'm going to do is, so right after here, I'm going to create a div, class name, flex item center, and gap is going to be 2. And here, if it is loading, what I need to do, I need to bring the loader from the React, Lucid React class name, which is going to be width, of course, which is going to be 5, height, of course, then animate spin. Okay, if it is not loading, which means it's need to display the value, enter. Then I'm going to use the tooltip. So if you check it out over here, if I move my cursor, you should be able to see this tooltip over there, right? So in order to bring that tooltip, I'm going to bring tool tip from @material UI, close this, and the title, of course, I'm going to use the title as plus 50 plus $50 plus $50. Okay, then inside here I'm going to create a div. For this I'm going to say on click. For this on click, I'm going to say update budget amount. So we don't have that function. Let's go ahead and create that function. So const update budget amount, which is going to be an async function. Okay, so now that issue will be rectified. Inside this division, I'm going to bring a card, close it. Okay, and I'm going to bring this plus icon, which is going to be having the class name as width at 3, height as 3, and margin right, which is going to be 1. And right after here, I'm going to bring the typography, which is going to be 50. And for this class name, and the text, which is going to be XX. Save it. So you should be able to see like this. Okay, don't worry about it. We need to fix this. So for this card, of course, the variant, of course, which is going to be the outlined variant, and I'm gonna fix the class name for it. So which is going to be a quite big class. So rounded, it should be medium. And cursor, of course, it should be pointer, and px, of course, it should be 1, and py, which is going to be a customized one, which is going to be 1 pixel. Then flex item center, justify everything center, bg, everything should be transparent, and it should have the border, and the border should be emerald 300. So that's how it should looks like. Okay, perfect. Okay, so right after here, then what I need to do, I need to bring a typography where the user can display the budget amount, which is going to be the budget dot amount, and it should display the dollar sign. So save it. And for this variant, of course, which is going to be h6, and a class name which is going to be font bold. Save it. This is how it looks. Now when I click this, it needs to change that, it needs to increment that value. So before that, what I need to do, right after here, this is the lower section. So on the lower section, you can see we have this progress bar where we are displaying that value, right? So what I'm going to do is, let's create a div, class name space y, of course it's going to be 2. Inside here, let's create a div which is going to display the amount you spent and amount you have as the remaining one. See, the amount you spent and amount you have in the remaining. So here inside this division, which is going to be class name flex item center and justify it between, enter, and let's bring the typography spent. Let's bring the total expenses dot to fixed with the length of 2 and add the dollar sign. Save it, copy and paste it, and this is going to be as the remaining. This is going to be the remaining amount. Save it. That's how it looks like. Then right after this division, what I need to do is I need to bring the linear progress, which is powered by Material UI itself. Then for this, I'm going to supply the variant, which is going to be determinate. Then I'm going to supply the value, which is going to be the progress percentage value, which we calculated over here, this one. So save it. Now you have that progress bar over there. All right, perfect, which is completely adjustable based on the mode as well. As look at that, that's looking stunning, right? Perfect. Now all we have to do is to go ahead and fix this update option also, because if I click this, I need to update this value. So in order to do that, let's get back over here, and where is the create budget? Not here. Yep, I'm going to copy this and let me get back to the budget item card right inside. Okay, perfect. Let's import the Axios and let's import the toast. We don't need this and we don't need this. Instead of that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say set is loading as true, and here set is loading as false, and I don't need the values. Okay, so basically I need to convert this into a dynamic string literals, and instead of this post method, I need to change it into patch method. Okay, then I need to supply the ID, because dynamically we need to supply the ID budget.id. Then right after here, I need to supply an object which is going to be amount, which is going to be 50. Since we already have the value as 50 as the fixed one, and it's a string value in our schema, so we are supplying it as a string. So make sure the amount's spelled properly. Instead of new budget created, we can say budget updated or budget upgraded, something like that. All right. Save those changes. Now if you check this out, of course you will run into an error because we don't have this in our API. So what I need to do is open our source app, get into the API. Inside the budget, I'm going to create a new folder with the square bracket called budget ID. Hit the enter. I'm going to create a new file called route.ts. Okay, so in that, what we need to do is okay, so I'm just simply going to copy everything from here, copy it, and I'm going to get into the budget route and I'm going to paste it. So overall here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this into patch, and right along with this, I'm going to supply the params, which is going to be the params is the type of Inside that, I do have this budget ID, right? So I'm going to extract this budget ID, which is going to be a string itself. Save it. So far, we don't have the budget ID. So if the parameter doesn't have the budget ID, we simply needs to return the value. So budget, params dot, something is missing. Why? We supplied the params, and inside that params only. Oh my goodness, my bad. So this is not supposed to be like this. So we need to extract an object which is going to be the params. So params is in itself, it's an object. Inside that, I'm going to have one more object which is going to be the params, and inside that I'm going to bring the budget ID which is going to be the string. So save it. This is how it is should looks. And if there is no params dot budget ID, if the params doesn't have this budget ID in it, of course we need to return the value as budget ID is missing. Apart from that, I don't need this. Okay, and I don't need to extract these two informations. Okay, so basically because the user can update anything, right? So you can simply get all those values from there. All right, so then instead of creating this budget, okay, so instead of creating this budget, I need to fetch the budget first. So const budget is equals to await db dot budgets dot find unique, open it, where the ID which is going to be params dot budget ID. Okay, so please make sure this budget ID matches this budget ID. All right, so if there is no budget, of course we need to return the value. So if I don't have the budget, if I don't have the budget, I'm just going to return the value as budget not found. Budget not found. Save it. If I do have the budget, I need to update the value. Const updated data, which is going to be the type object, which is going to have the name, which is should be a string. Then it should have the icon, and that is also going to be string. Empty. Along with that, the most important field, which is going to be the amount, and that is also going to be a string. Save all those things. That's the updated data type. Currently updated data, it's going to be empty. If it does have the name, then updated data dot name, it's going to be name. If it does have the icon, supply the updated data dot icon as the icon. If it's having the amount, if we have the amount, then we need to find the amount first. We need to get the budget amount, then we need to figure it out whether it is a number or not. If it is a number, then we need to add that 50 with the previous amount, whatever the budget does have, right? So first const, what we need to do, const parse amount is equals to parse float of amount. Okay, so we are converting that amount into a float. If is not a number, if the parsed amount is not a number, or parsed amount, if it is less than or equals to 0, then return the new next response as invalid amount with the status of 401. Okay, if not, then only we need to increment that amount with that. So const current amount, get the current amount and convert that into a float value. Float budget dot amount. Otherwise, if it doesn't have, keep it as 0. Then const new amount is equals to current amount dot parsed amount, sorry, plus parsed amount. Oh, come on. Plus parsed amount. What amount? Save it. Then updated data dot amount is equals to new amount dot string, to string. Convert it into a string back. Then let's keep that amount in that. Then after all these things, I just need to say const updated budget is equals to await db dot budget dot update, open the function var id, which is going to be the params dot budget id. Then at the end, supply the data, which is going to be the updated data. Then after that, we just need to send the updated budget outside of it. All right, so let's check it out whether it is working fine or not. So just instead of updating the budget alone, we created this route API to update the name or whatever it is. User can simply edit anything and they can simply update all these informations. Now, if I click this, loading, and we are getting an error. What is that? We are supplying the payload as a 50. Budget title is missing. Oh, okay. So I set all those fields. So we don't need this. Okay, so we don't need that. We don't need to check all those things, because title and all those things, it's for the currently time being. We are not sending it over here. So even we need to make sure only if the user sending the amount or not. Okay, I think even this is also not necessary. Budget ID itself enough. So now if I click this, okay, so let me clear it. I think it's updated 600 to 650. If I click this one more time, see, budget upgraded. It's saying budget, overall budget. Here also it's incremented. If you look at over here, if I click it one more time, see, here also the budget is incremented. Perfect. So everywhere it's working perfectly fine. Now when I click this, it's need to take the user to that specific budget. So let's create one more option. Let's say travel budget, family budgets is over there, and then personal expenses. So for that personal expenses, I'm assigning 500, and for that, let me create person. All right, and other budgets 400. Let's keep this as hospital expenses. Okay, so now we have the different budgets over here. You can see that. So we have ourselves a nice budgets, but when I click this, it will throws the 404 error because we don't have that. So now we have to create those budget wise edit form. So if I click this new budget, you can see that it's bringing that expenses where we have our complete budgets, and it's having this new form where the user can able to add a new budget and everything. Add a new expenses, and at the underneath it, it's showing the table where the user can display the table and everything. All right, so let's go ahead and create that now. All right then, so now what we need to do is we need to display the budget wise expenses places. So let me close all these things, open up here, collapse everything, get into the source app and dashboard budgets, and here inside create a new folder called budget ID inside the square bracket. And inside here, I'm going to create a new file called page.tsx. Perfect. Let's minimize it and let's say SFC, and I'm going to keep this as the expenses, oh sorry, budget wise expenses page. Budget wise expenses page. So now when the user clicks this, that will takes the user to this specific budget. It's showing this budget. Okay, so now we are inside the specific route. Perfect. Then what I need to do is I need to access those parameters first. So async, open it, params, which is going to be the type of params. Inside this, I'm gonna have this budget ID as string. Save it. Now here I can access those things as params.budget ID. See, I can able to access those ID over here. Right, perfect. That's beautiful. Then let me enable the word wrap so you can see it clearly. So right after here, next what I need to do, I need to access the user ID. So const equals to auth, and here you can access the user ID. So if there is no user ID, all I have to do is to redirect the user to home page. Save it. So const budget, otherwise we need to fetch that const budget is equal to await db.budgets.find unique. Open it, then var, which is going to be user ID. Supply the user ID and the ID, which is going to be the params.budget ID. Save it. And then along with that, I need to include the expenses, which is should be ordered by, created at field in the descending order. Save it. Perfect. So then if I don't have the budget, also I need to redirect the user to /budgets. Perfect. All right. So right after here, what I need to do is class name, flex column, padding 2, and on the medium devices onwards, padding should be flex should be column, padding 2, and the medium devices onwards, padding should be 4. Save it. Then instead of this, open it. We need to display the breadcrumbs, right? So in order to bring the breadcrumbs, so I just customized myself the breadcrumbs. So if you open, what it is, the MUI, okay, so MUI, click the components, and over here search for basic breadcrumbs. Over here, see, this is the basic breadcrumbs. Here I'm using along with this icons, okay, breadcrumbs with the icons. So you can copy this from my gist folder. This is the one, the custom breadcrumbs.tsx. So let's go ahead and create that, and inside the components folder, I'm going to create a new file called custom breadcrumb.tsx. I'm going to simply copy everything from here, copy, and I'm gonna paste it. This is how it looks. So save it. So basically this breadcrumbs is coming from where? From the MUI only. Okay, so we don't want to waste the time on designing all these things. All right, so let's get back over here, and I'm going to bring that custom breadcrumb. Okay, close it. For this breadcrumb page, which is going to be the budget name itself, budget.name. If the budget.name is not there, simply use the empty string. Okay, then the breadcrumb, you can see, now you can see the the page name analytics, the home page, and that is the breadcrumb page, and the breadcrumb items, which is going to be an array. Inside that, we need to supply the label, which is going to be the budgets itself. Then I need to supply the href, sorry, link for that, which is going to be the slash budgets. Save it. Okay, so now you should be able to see the budgets, and along with that the link will also working perfectly. Perfect. Then right after here, I'm going to create a div which is going to have a class name as the margin top, which is going to be 6. Then right after here, I'm going to bring the heading component from add components, and I'm going to supply the title, which is going to be my expenses. Then the description over here is going to be manage the expenses over here. Save it. Now you should be able to see the title as well as perfect. Then right after here, I'm gonna bring a divider, so which is going to be the divider, then class name MUI, which is going to be 4. Then I need to create a client, page client, which we don't have it yet. So let's go ahead and create that page client. So inside here, I'm going to create a new folder called underscore components. And here I'm just going to say client.tsx, and which is going to be use client, and rafc, which is going to be the page client. Okay, and let's get back over here, or where it is. Okay, so let's create the interface page client props, open it. Inside here, let's keep the budget, which is going to be the budget from the Prisma client, and along with that I need to extract the expenses, which is going to be the expenses array, otherwise it should be null. Then let's destructure it. Page client props, which is going to have the budget. Then let's apply the budget over here, import it, supply the budget as the budget. Okay, so it's showing an error. What is it? Okay, so property expense is missing in the type expenses. Okay, my bad, spelling mistake. It should be like this. Save it. Yes, this expenses, that is what we are including in it. All right, perfect. Now we don't have the type error. So now we are inside this budgets and everything, right? Perfect. So what I'm going to do is, so basically we are going to bring the same card, and we are going to bring a form where the user can create a new expense. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that now. So what I'm going to do is, instead of keeping this as a division, I'm going to keep this as a fragment, react.fragment, close it. Inside here, I'm going to bring the grid from material UI grid, and this is going to be as a container, and spacing, of course, which is going to be 2, and on sx, which is going to be the flex should be grow as much as possible. Okay, then inside here, I'm going to bring a grid, which is going to be an item, and on xx it should be keep the 12 columns, and on the medium devices it should keep the 6 columns, which is the place where we are going to bring the budget card. So if that is the budget, then let's bring the budget card item. Then let's apply the budget over here. If it doesn't have that budget, which means still the budget is being fetched, then I'm going to bring a card. inside here. Then I'm gonna create a div, class name, width of course full, height of course which is going to be 32, and rounded of course it's going to be medium, and bg it's going to be grade 200, and animate it as pulse, like a pulse animation. Now it's showing, but this is how it looks. See the pulse animations. Okay, perfect. Now we have the budget, that's the reason it's showing that. Perfect. All right, so then next what I need to do, I need to bring the add expense. So right after this grid, I'm going to copy this grid, paste it. Oops. And inside here, we need to bring the add expense, save it. So basically this add expense, which is going to be quite exactly the same as your inside the create model, we do have that create budget or create model. I think so, this one. So we're having this form and everything, right? Just like the same way only, we are going to have the rest of the stuffs. So let's keep this side by side. So here, next inside here, I'm going to bring the add expense component. So we need to bring the add expense component. So let's go ahead and create that one. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create it as a new component called add expense.tsx. And let's say use client, save it. And here RAFC, which is going to be add expense. Save these changes, and let's get back over here. Let's bring it over here, save it. Inside the add expense, what I'm going to do is, let me close this. Okay, let me close that. And I'm going to bring a card, which is going to be something looks like this card variant, which should be an outlined, and the class name, it should be 3. Padding should be 3. So it looks like this. And inside this card, I'm going to bring a typography, which is going to say add new expense, something like that. So for this typography, I'm going to use the variant as h5, heading 5, something like that. Cool. Then I need to bring a form. So before that, I'm going to bring all those values and everything. So let's go ahead and let's create the form schema first. So I'm going to create a form schema, copy this and paste it over here. We don't need the icon field. Let's import this Z object, Zod. Save it. Perfect. And then we need to get the parameters and all those things, right? So let's bring those params because we need to access the budget ID. So const params is equals to use params from next navigation. Then const router is equals to use router from next navigation. Save it. Right after here, we need to bring the form. So copy this form, paste it, and I don't need this icon, so delete it. Bring the use form from React hook form, Zod resolver from resolvers Zod. Save the changes. Perfect. So this needs to be on the top, and this is also need to be there, and this is need to be here. Keep it properly. Save it. Perfect. Okay, then all we have to do is to just copy and paste alone. Copy this and paste it right after here. Then I'm gonna copy this on submit as well as copy this on submit, paste it, import the Axios and cut this out and change this into a dynamic string literals. slash, and here we need to supply the params dot budget id, because basically we are going to update that specific budget. So params dot budget id. All right, and let's import the toast, and we don't need this finally now. Close this. Okay, so let's bring these two. Okay, fine, perfectly fine. All right, so this needs to be the patchwork. So patch. So we are going to sorry, this is supposed to be post only, because we are creating a new expense. So new expense created. All right, so once the new expense has been created, form needs to be resetted, form needs to be a refresh. Okay, and here we need to check before that if there is any error. So what I need to do is we need to check, because every time whenever user are adding a new expense, for instance, let's say blah blah blah, and let's say I'm increasing, see this amount is not available in that budget, but if I try to add, you can look into it, see we are getting not enough amount in the budget. So we need to verify that. In order to do that, I need to check over here. See, if the Axios is Axios error and the error response, if the error response dot status is 400 and the error response dot data is not enough amount in the budget, so we need to throw the message is not enough in the budget. Otherwise, we can simply return this. So what I'm doing is I'm simply supplying the value to the API is doing some calculations and it's returning that value. We are getting that value in the Axios error, and we are making sure that status is 400 and the error message is this. If say so, we are displaying this message. Otherwise, simply display the message as something went wrong. Okay, this is what we are doing now. All right, so API slash budgets and everything is okay, fine, perfect. All right, so now let's go ahead and create that post method now inside that API slash budget route. If you get into here, get into the API over here, budgets, budget ID, and here route. Okay, here we need to create that post method now. So let's go ahead and create that post method. Okay, close this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this post method, copy, and get into the budget route. So right above this patch, I'm going to paste this post. We need the user ID, then we need the name, and we need the amount. I don't need the icon, so close this icon. Okay, instead of that, what we can do is let's keep this as the params dot budget ID. So we need to get the params instance as well as. So what we can do is let's get that over here. So get the params open it, get the budget ID, which is going to be the string itself. Okay, so if not params dot budget ID, then budget ID is missing. All right, then now what I need to do, I need to find the budget, then I need to sorry yeah, we need to find the budget, and we need to create a new expense. So that is what we need to do. So before that, just exactly we need to figure it out whether the amount over here, see this is what we did, whether the amount is valid or not. This is what we need to check and everything over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to delete this. Okay, so first I need to figure it out whether the amount is valid or not. Okay, now right after here I need to find out the budget. So const budget is equals to await db dot find unique db dot budgets dot find unique, open it, where the id is going to be params dot budget id, and it should include the expenses, which should be true. Okay, otherwise we can simply say order by, open it, created at in the descending order. All right, perfect. Then if we don't have the budget, then the budget not found. If we don't have the budget, budget not found. Right, so right after here, then what I need to do, I need to find out the total amount spent, which is exactly the way what we did for in the home screen, just like that. So I'm just going to copy and paste it over here. For the budget expenses, use the reduce function, calculate all those expenses and find the total. If that expenses is completely empty, return the value as 0. Then we need to get the budget amount, const budget amount is equals to pass float as budget.amount. Budget.amount. So then if the total amount spent plus the parsed amount is greater than the budget amount, in that situation return new next response. We need to return a new response with the exact text is not enough amount in the budget, just like this, not enough amount in the budget. Perfect. Otherwise over here we need to create the expense, const expense, expense equals to await db dot expenses dot create, open it, data, which is going to be the user id, then name, then budget id, which is going to be params dot budget id. Then we need to supply the amount, so the amount needs to be converted to string. Amount needs to be converted into string. Okay, perfect. So already amount is which we are passing inside, it is a string only, but anyways we will convert it again. Then let's send the expense which we created outside. I hope this will work. Okay, so this is the API. Okay, so now we fix the APIs and all those things. So let's bring those form which we don't even created it yet. Where is that? Create model, create model. Okay, so let's copy that form from here, form from here to here, copy it, and let's bring it right after here. Don't worry about these errors, we can fix this. Not necessary. Box, bring the controller, react hook form, bring the text field, material UI, and bring this input adornment, and bring the wallet minimal, and we don't need this icon now. So close this dollar sign, import this, and bring this divider button, and for this we don't need this, just add new. What is happening now? Form is here, but when I paste the form we are getting an error. Why? Wait a minute. Form is opened and closed here. Div. Okay, so I don't need this div. That's the reason. Yeah. Save it. And now you should be able to see this. Yes, here we go. So class name, which is going to be margin top as 4. Perfect. So instead of this budget title, expense name, and the error name, it's going to be expense title cannot be empty. All right. Expense name, amount, everything is perfectly fine. And let's check it out whether the hospital expense is going to be fever expense. Okay, let's say $50 or something. And let me click the inspect elements, click the network, close everything, click add new. There we go. See, new expense has been created and the form is resetted successfully, and the expenses has been added over here. We are getting the remaining values as well as over here. So let me say mom's pills, something like that. Let's say 240 something. Add new. And there we go. It is added. And let's say son's medical, something like that. And let's try something a bigger value. Add new. See, not enough amount in the budget. There we go. So it is working perfectly as it's supposed to be. All right, let's get back to the budgets. And if I open this particular expense, okay, so if I get back to the budget, you can see over here the overall budget is 3,650 and the remaining budget is 3,360. So which is working exactly how we expected it, right? So this is what we needed. So the expenses, it's completely working fine, right? So now all we have to do is to go ahead and display the expenses, the list of expenses, just like this table actions, right? So in order to do that, what I need to do is I need to bring that particular table data. Okay, so you can access that table data inside the components. Here, so if I search for table, yes, inside the source view dashboard they do have this table components. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we just going to re-replicate with this data table. So I'm just going to copy this table, and inside this components folder, inside this components folder, I'm going to create a new file called expenses table.tsx. Paste it. Okay, so this is should be a client component. Okay, make sure it is as the use client component. Save it, and let's bring those things in the client page. We have the add expenses and everything. So right after that add expenses, this is the place where the grid is being empty, and here I need to bring the grid, which is going to be like this, and class name margin 8 MUI, it's going to be 8, and here I'm gonna say bring the table from at material, not at material UI, from at expenses table. Please make sure that it should comes from at components material from the expenses table which we created that. Then you need to supply the so let me show you. So if I use this table option, now it is going to bring that table data. Basically with this table data, it's going to display that information. So this should be completely accessible, the 12 columns. Perfect. This is how. But what we need to do is currently this table is using the data which it's having on itself. Okay. So what I need to do is let's minimize this raw data and let's customize this the informations over here. Okay. Mm, So what we need to do is, so basically we need to keep this expenses table as a reusable one. If you check it out over here, see, we having the expense, which is displaying the expense informations alone. But when I click this expenses page and there it's showing what is the budget information and what is that expense and what is the amount and when it's been created. So we are displaying the budget informations also. So based on that only we need to create this table. So let's over here I'm gonna create an interface, open it. So what we need to do is, so here expense table, open it. So we need to supply the rows data. So basically the rows data, it's going to be a very specific column type, which is going to be instead of this expenses table type, I'm gonna, instead of table type, let's say table columns type. Copy this name, the row data which is going to be, which is that in that specific type of array. Then is budget included. If the budget information included along with that, then we need to simply send it as a boolean. If it is true, I need to display that budget informations, these budget informations. Otherwise I need to ignore it. Okay, so don't worry about that, this error. So delete this, we don't need to worry about this. Okay, so expenses table, and let's include that, destructure it, and let's include that expenses table props over here, rows data. Along with that is budget informations. So for this budget informations, what are the informations I need to display? These are the details: ID, budget icon, name, overall budget, expense name, amount name, and then date when that budget is being created. Okay, these are the informations. Then what we need to do is we need to get these informations, the router informations and everything. So let's create this router, use router, and let's bring the use state. Okay, and you can access this complete table data which we created. You can access all those table data from the gist. Okay, so if you open the gist which I given in the link in the description below, so you can access that complete expense table which we have created. You can see the informations and everything. I'm just going to copy this UI. Apart from that, I don't need anything else. We can type the rest of the codes with the handle, delete, and all those things. Don't worry about that. We are going to create that quite now. Paste it over here. Perfect. Okay, so I think I misspelled that it is budget included. So wherever the is budget included, just change this to is budget included, something like that. I think I added the data in that thing. Okay, include this dollar sign and include this button and include this trash icon also. So save those changes. Still where the error is coming from. Oh, okay, handle delete. Of course, we don't have this handle delete function. So let's copy this and let's keep it over here. And later I'm going to explain what is the handle delete function is doing. Don't worry about this. We will fix this. For the time being, let me keep it the toast and everything. Okay. So now the expense table is ready. And for this table now, all I have to do is to supply the row data. But the problem is this expense table over here, it's expecting very quiet informations only, not the complete budget and the informations. So what I need to do is I need to format that complete budget what we are getting over here. So here what I need to do, const formatted budgets is equals to it should be the type of expenses, and we need to export this type. So let's say export this type. So export this expenses table type columns from there. Either it should be the specific type or it should be undefined. In that situation, budget dot expenses dot map, open it, get the expense out of it, open the value bracket, enter, and here let me enable the word wrap so you can see it clearly. Enter. Here I need to supply the id, which is going to be the expense dot id. Then I need to supply the expense name, which is going to be the expense name. Then I need to supply the amount, which is going to be the expense dot amount. Then is budget is we are getting an error over here. What is that? Okay, I think that particular field is not there, but we do have this date column. So expense dot created at question mark. So we need to format that date. In order to do that, we need to install one package called date fns. So npm install date fns in order to display the dates in a very customized way. So what I'm going to do is format from, okay, so it is not showing that package. So let's go ahead and import that now. Import from date fns, which is going to be format. So format, and let's change this into new date. Open it, expense dot created at. Then we need to format this in a very specific format with the month, date of, year. Oh, this is not supposed to be 0, it's O. Otherwise it simply says not available. Okay, these are the formatted columns. Okay, then for this row data, which is going to be the formatted budgets. Then is budget included, which is going to be false. Okay, so row data we are getting because there is a possibility of the row data's values as an undefined. So I need to display this data only if the formatted budgets and the formatted budgets dot length is greater than 0. Then only I need to display this entire thing. Now we will not get that error. So if you get back over here, you should able to see these options over here. See, we have those expenses names and everything over here. Now I need to fix this options for delete. So because if you try to click the delete options, so what is happening, it is calling this handle delete option, which is basically calling this the API. So what I need to do is let's get into that specific API and let's fix that delete option. So go inside the API folder and create a new folder, which should be exactly the same as this. Where is the API folder? Here. Right click, create new folder, expenses, and right click, create new folder, which should be X expense ID, and inside here create a new file called route.ts. Perfect. Now what we need to do, we need to delete that specific. So inside here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this patch, or I'm going to copy this post. Please copy any one, copy and paste it over here. And here, instead of this post, I'm going to keep this as a delete, and instead of that budget ID, I need to get the expense ID. Copy this and then paste it over here. Okay, and what we need to do is, wherever the term budget ID is being used, we need to change it to expense ID. Perfect. Okay. We need to get the user ID, then we know we don't need this. So if we don't have that, we don't need this at all, don't need this. And from here to here, we don't need anything, simply delete it. And this also, expense ID is missing. Perfect. Now we need to fetch that, we need to find that expense. Await db.expenses.find unique, open it, where the ID, which is going to be the params.expense ID. Perfect. Then what I need to do is, right after here, if I don't have that expense, we just need to return, if I don't have this expense not found, as a 404 error. Okay, and now I need to delete that. So const deleted is equals to await db.expenses.delete, open it, open, where the ID, which is going to be the params.expense ID. Save it, and at the end I just need to return the message as expense deleted successfully, something like this. So save these changes. Now let's check it out. Inspect the elements, network. If I click this expense, let's say click this, and there we go. You can see that expense has been successfully removed, and it is updated the data over here, and over here the expenses is updated. And if I click this, it will be removed, and no, there will be no more expenses to be displayed. Okay, so this is what we are about to do. Then all we have to do is to go ahead and fix this expenses page. So let me close all these things. Now all we have to do is to go inside the expenses route. So where we successfully created that expenses route, I think so. Yep, here we go. So here I'm going to create a page.tsx. All right. So inside here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say sfc, let's say expenses list page div, and let's say expenses list page. Save it. So you should be able to see that expenses list page now. And let's change this function into an asynchronous function, and we need to check whether we do have the user ID or not. If there is a new user ID, we need to redirect the user ID to the home screen. Let's import these packages, and let's import this redirect from the next navigations. Okay, now I need to fetch all the expenses. So const expenses is equals to await db.expenses.find many, open it, where user ID, then I need to include that budget information for that expense, which is going to be true. Save this information. All right, then what I need to do is I need to change this class name flex column, then div class name flex column, and medium devices it should be flex row item everything should be start, and justify everything in the starting position, and medium device should be items center, and the medium device justify between. Okay, so save those changes. Okay, enable the word wrap. All right, so here now I need to bring the heading from add components, which is going to have the title as all expenses and description your list of expenses here. Save it. All right, this is what it has been displaying. Then what I need to do, I need to bring the divider. So divider from add material UI, then class name, which is going to be MUI4. Then right after here, I need to bring the page client. Okay, so this page client, which is going to display the list of expenses informations. Expenses is equals to expenses. All right, so let's go ahead and create that expenses. Now here underscore components. Inside here, I'm going to create a new file called client.tsx. Okay, so this is going to display the informations. So what I'm going to do is, let's say use client, then interface page client props, open it, expenses. I think that is the one I may. Okay, copy this and paste it. Don't want any unwanted mistakes. So it's need to give the list of expenses, and then it's need to keep the budget informations as well as in it, right? That's the informations, and it should be the entire array of expenses. Otherwise, it should be a null. Okay, so here I'm just going to say array fc, and let's say page client. Delete this, and here let's destructure it and bring the page client props, and let's bring the expenses over here, and let's bring the import these from here. Save it. Perfect. Now we should be able to see the page client. Perfect. All right. So next, what I need to do is I need to customize this information. Where? So budget ID components in the client. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this, copy this. Right after here, I'm gonna bring this, import it, and instead of this budget, I'm gonna delete it, because from the expenses only we're gonna map through it. Let's bring this format from datefns. Okay, there is a possibility of getting this as a null value, so add the question mark. So view word wrap. So we need to include the ID, then we need to bring the budget icon. So basically that budget icon is going to be expense.budget.icon comma, then name, of course, which is going to be expense.budget.name. Then we need to get the expense amount, then we need to get the expense overall budget. So overall budget, which is going to be a string, so use the dynamic string literals. Here I'm just going to say expense.budget.amount. I think this is it, and at the end add the comma, save it. Now we have the formatted budgets. Then right after here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the react.fragment. Inside here, I'm going to create a grid. from the material UI grid. Okay, so that grid is going to be a container. Okay, that grid is just going to be a container, something like this. Inside here, what I'm going to do is, if I do have the formatted budgets, okay, if the formatted budgets and the formatted budgets dot length is greater than 0, then I need to display the grid. So grid. Okay, so that is going to have the grid item. Then inside here, I'm going to bring the table from here, where it is, this one, copy this and bring it over here, import this one from add components expense table, and this should be true because we are displaying the budget data as well. As save it. Okay, so currently we don't have any expenses, right? So in that situation here, we can bring this grid, and instead of this table data, I can simply say no expenses, something like this, no expenses. We can make it, you can just adjust the UI and you can create it according to your look and feel. You can adjust it. So let's go ahead and add some expenses. Let's say personal expenses, let's say petrol, bike petrol, something like that, 100, add new, and let's add some tea break expenses like $25. And let me get back to the budgets and let's add the family budgets. Let's say groceries as $150 something. And let's get back to the budgets and travel budgets, and let's add friends meet as 150 and click add new. Okay, so now we have some few expenses. Let's get back to the expenses over here. Look at that. See, we have the budget informations and we have the expense informations and we have the delete privileges also. We can delete directly from here. Okay, so we successfully finished the budgets and the expenses and all those things. Now all we have to do is to go ahead and fix the analytics pages. All right, so that is what we need to do now. Okay, so this analytics, it's not working. Why? So navbar.tsx, navbar content. Okay, so let's open the layout. Where is the layout? Layout, navigation, vertical menu. Yeah, href is here, but when I click that, it is not taking the user to that. I'm not sure why it is not happening. So we have that menu. Inside that menu only we having this menu item. Okay, so class name and everything is fine. href. Oh my goodness, this href, it is supposed to be right after here. That's the reason it is not working. Yep, now it is working. So now if I click this, it should take the user to here. All right, so let's go ahead and fix this entire overview analytics, and that's what we need to do finally. All right then, so now what we have to do is we have to customize this entire landing page just as like this. Based on our data, we need to customize this entire UI. So let's go ahead and do that. So let me close all these things and let me collapse everything. So in the root folder, I'm going to create a new folder called actions, and inside the actions, I'm going to create a new folder called analytics.ts. Okay, so here this file basically it's going to help you to figure it out month wise budget details. So we need to find four important things. One, we need to get current month budget details, current month budget details. Then we need to get the comparison between previous and current month, previous and current month. Then we need to get the weekly expenses. Then we need to get the top expenses. We need to get the top expenses by the user. These are the four different functions. So I already given all the functions and the source code for calculating all those functions and everything in the gist, which is given in the description below. So please go ahead and copy all those informations, copy it, and then paste it over here. All right. So save this informations, delete this, bring the database from @utils.db, save it. Perfect. So if you check it out over here, so from the date FNS, we have the start of the month, end of the month, sub month, format, end of the week, start of the week. We are having those functions from the date FNS. So basically we are formatting the number. So if the amount value is greater than this, we need to say millions. If the amount value is greater than this, this thousands, we need to say Ks, like 1.4K means 1,400, something like that. So we are having a function to format that number. So to get the month budget details, so we are getting the current date and we are using the starting date of that now current date, and the end date. We are having the start date and the end date. From the budgets, we are filtering the data based on the start and the end date. By that way, we can get the current month expenses alone, not the entire budgets. That is what this function is doing. Okay, then we are calculating the total budget, total expenses of the current month, just like the previous way what we did. So if you watch this code in a like if you just watch it, you can understand it easily. These are the same thing which we already used in the expenses page only. Okay, so that's the thing. And this is get monthly matrices. This is the functions which helps you to get the month wise informations. For weekly report, we need to calculate those things. See, so just take your time and understand these functions, because we need to save the time. So that's the reason I give you the all these functions over here. So copy it and paste it, and let's jump into the source and go to the app and go to the dashboard, go to the page.tsx. This is the place where we need to customize all those informations. In that, first let's go ahead and bring all those necessary informations in it. So let's change this functions into an asynchronous function. Then let's get the current user informations, copy it and paste it over here. Get the current user from next server, auth, import it and redirect it on the next stage. All right. Next, what I need to do is I need to get the expenses and the budget information. So this is how you can get the expenses and the budget informations. So import the DB. So make sure by using the ID only we are fetching it and including the budget, and using the ID only we are fetching it and including the expenses as well as. Perfect. Then what I need to do is I need to bring all those matrices over here which we calculated. So get the current budget month details and get the comparison matrices and get the weekly expenses and get the top expenses. All these functions are being imported properly over here. So save these changes, and now still it looks exactly the same. Now we need to bring this award. So basically this award is coming from where? From the dashboard award.tsx. So for this award.tsx, what I'm going to do is, so For this, we need to create an interface. So copy this interface, and let's destructure those interface over here. Let's say award props. So I'm going to bring the total budget amount, and then total expenses, then savings, how much I did saved, and the percentage, how much is used, and then name. So these are all the props I need to supply over here. Then instead of congratulations John, I'm gonna supply the name prop over here. And instead of best seller of the month, you can say your savings overview. Then over here, instead of this, I'm gonna customize this with the savings. Then this is going to be view all, and for this button I'm gonna add the link tag from the next link, and this is going to be href, paste it, and this is going to be slash budgets, save it. Okay, and images trophy, it's perfectly fine. And now you should be able to see we have the percentage and the savings. It's not displaying. Why? Okay, the reason is because we are not supplying any of the informations over there. So let's go ahead and supply the informations, and let's fix this percentage value as well. As this is supposed to be the percentage used. Okay, so percentage used of the total budget amount. Okay, so let's go to the page.tsx now, and let's bring those values and supply into it. Okay, so for this awards, what I need to do is I need to destructure all those award savings. Then along with that, I need to supply the username. So if I do have the user, then I need to supply the first name, otherwise supply the empty string. Save it, and now you should be able to see the changes. There we go. Okay, so I need to remove the percentage sign from here. I don't need it. See? Okay, so now the award is being successfully changed. You can see that. So it's showing congratulations Vetrivel. So your savings are here. This is the award I saved in this current month. All right. So then what I need to do is I need to bring the last month expenses. So I need to bring last 2 months expenses, just like this. Okay, I need to bring last 2 months expenses. So in order to do that, what I need to do is okay, this is the card. I need to customize it. Okay, this is the card stat. So we have this card stat where it is. This is the one. This is one. What we need to do, we need to customize it. So what I need to do is okay, so I'm gonna copy this, and I'm going to paste it 2 more times. And I'm going to copy this card stat, and I'm going to replace this award 2 times. And now you should be able to see this card stat over here. So yeah, here we go. See, we have that card stat. But instead of fixing this, we need to customize those informations and everything. Okay, so let's go ahead and create all those informations and everything. Okay, so if I open this, I think I don't need to change anything over here. Okay, yep, I don't think so. I don't need to change anything, but only one thing we need to change over here. What is that? Is we need to get the const router is equals to use router navigation. Okay, So before that, we need to change this into use client, since we're using the use router and all those things. Then over here you can see it's having all these options for refreshing and all those things, right? So what we need to do is we need to refresh this page. So that's the reason we are creating this handle refresh function. So I'm going to say toast, bring the toast. So all I have to do is to refresh the page. If the page is being refreshed, what happens? The API is being called, so the new data will be fetched and the data will be reloaded, right? So over here, these options, instead of these options, what I'm going to do is, which is going to be the array of objects, which is going to be the text, and use the refresh. That's the text refresh. And for this, I'm going to supply the menu item props, which is going to be the on click prop. For the on click prop, I'm going to supply this handle refresh. So it is going to display this refresh text over here. So if I expand it, so it's loading. Let's wait. Here we go. See, I do have this refresh information. Now whenever I click this, the entire page is going to be refreshed and it's going to show you that data reloaded. So this is how you can customize your props. So now we have this card status over here. So now all I have to do is to supply those informations based on that. So for this title, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. I'm going to say trans CMP comparison current previous month. I'm going to get the previous month. Then I'm going to say previous month dot month name. This is what that function is returning the data. Then for this, use the dynamic string literals. Over here, I'm going to bring the dollar sign, then open it, then trans CMP current previous month dot previous month dot savings. Okay, that is what it is going to give you, that secondary, and it is going to be not weekly profit, this is the monthly profit. And here I need to display the percentage. So bring the percentage, dollar sign, dollar, open it, trans previous month dot percentage used. So please make sure add the question mark sign wherever you're using it, because this is the home page, because whenever you're refreshing it, it will take some time to build that data, right? So now if you check it out over here, this will be changed based on that information. You can see this is the previous month information. Okay, so far on the previous month we don't even have anything. That's the thing over here. And all I have to do is to copy this, and instead of previous month, I just need to change all these into current month. That's it. So now it is going to display the information for the current month. There we go. So August 24th. So you can see the percentage and everything. It has been changed all these informations. Everything is based on these functions only. So you have to take some time to understand what exactly is happening over here. Nothing. We're just doing some simple manual mathematical calculations. That's it. you will understand when you're working it. Okay. So then what we need to do, we need to bring the transactions overview. So let's go ahead and bring the transactions overview. So if you look into the transactions over here, it's giving you the budget wise comparison over the previous month and the last month, right? So what we need to do is we need to make some changes according to that. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to simply delete these things. Okay, so save it. So now this entire transactions will take the complete length over here. It should take the complete length. There we go, just like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this transaction. So we need to literally customize the entire thing. So that's the reason I given you the source code. So scroll down all the way to the bottom, and at the end you can see, if you scroll up a little bit, you can see the transactions.tsx, this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click from here, and I'm going to copy it from here, copy it, and I'm going to paste it. So let's scroll all the way to the top, and let's change this to perfect. And now let's get back to the transactions over here. So you need to supply the current month, which is going to be the transactions comparison CMP current and previous month detail. You need to supply the current month. Then you need to supply the previous month, which is going to be the transaction CMP dot previous month. Make sure that to add the question mark sign. Enable the word wrap. So save this thing. So now you should be able to see those changes. It's loading and there we go. See, we have the previous month and the comparison. So literally I just customize the props and we customize the data and icons and everything over here, and it's displaying the data. This is it. Okay. Okay, then what we need to do is we need to bring the this weekly report and the weekly expenses and the new expenses and all those things. So what I need to do is right after here I need to bring the line chart, right? Okay, so let's fix this UI first based on our UI, the columns and everything. So what I need to do is, so this world of weekly overview, and we are having this weekly overview, and also we have this total earnings over here, right? So this thing needs to be median devices and the large devices, it should be 8, and on the large devices it should be 8. So save it and let's see how it's looking. Okay, so this is how it looks, total earnings and the weekly overview. All right, so what I need to do is I'm going to minimize this and I'm going to cut this out and I'm going to bring it over the top. Okay, weekly overview and this, and I don't need this two things, last two things, deposit withdrawal and the table. So let me comment those things. Okay, so these two things will be commented now. All right, so now this is how it looks. All right, so in this line chart over here, so I just need to bring the line chart. If you check it out over here, I just need to bring the line chart and the new expense, which means I need to bring this one and I need to keep this one. These two things are not necessary. So what I can do is this one and this one, last two things, we can simply comment it. So if you see that, this is how it looks. Now all I have to do is to make sure those both of them are accessing its complete length, which means on SM devices as well as it should be 12, and this is also should be 12. So which means now both of them are accessing the complete length, so it will automatically comes to the next row. There we go. So now we fix the complete length. All right, so now what I need to do is let's go ahead and customize the line chart. So basically for the line chart, so if you expand this line chart, you can see we're having the complete informations and everything. All we have to do is to replace the data, which is basically it's using this specific data. So we just need to replace the data. So what I need to do, I'm just going to copy this and create the interface for ourselves. Right after here, this is what the interface that we are going to use, total expenses and the data as a numbers. So we need to bring this inside here, keep it inside here, then only we can apply this data props over here. So bring it inside, open it and extract that line chart props and bring that total expenses and the data and supply that data over here. Now it will be replaced and I need to use the total expenses, right? So if you scroll all the way to the bottom, so over here I need to bring the total expenses, dollar total expenses. This is going to be week expenses. Week expenses. So now if you save it, it is going to raise you some error. So in order to fix that, here I need to supply the total expenses first. What is the total expenses? Which is going to be weekly. Let's get back over here. Weekly expenses dot total expenses, right? That is what the thing. Then I need to supply the data, which is coming from data weekly expenses dot weekly expenses. Save those changes and save those changes. So refresh it. And there we go. See, we got our weekly expenses, week expenses. This is one. Then let's get back to the page.tsx and let's apply this card details, stats and everything. So I'm going to simply copy and paste it. This is what stats, use the format number from the so basically that format number is coming from where? From your analytics, which is coming from actions analytics. Import that one and save it. You should be able to see your oh man, this cold. There we go. See, it's going to give you the new expense which you have created right now. Okay, that is the new expense which we create. Friends mint $150. And now we need to fix this weekly overview. So let's go ahead and supply the weekly overview data. That is also a chart. So for that chart also we need to create this informations. So let's go ahead and create that interface. Let's bring all those interfaces over here. Interface. And let's destructure those interfaces informations over here, which is going to be weekly overview props. And I need to get the data first, then I need to get the percentage, then I need to get the total expenses, then I need to get the total budget. These are all the informations I needed. So what I need to do is charts and everything is going to be exactly the same, no changes in it. Scroll all the way to the bottom. Okay, and bring this handle refresh options also over here. Just copy it from the handle refresh or you can type it. So now I need to bring the router as well as, so const router is equals to use router from next navigation. Since we are using this, make sure that is the client component. Okay, and let's import this toast as well as. Okay, now for this options, I need to make sure that options is going to have the text which is going to be the refresh. Then I need to supply the menu item props which is going to be the on click for that, and that is going to be the handle refresh. Okay, so I need to supply the datas now, so which is going to be weekly overview, options and everything. And this is the series name which we are supplying, and here we need to supply the data prop which we do have in our hand. And yeah, and this is the percentage where you need to display the percentage. And here I'm going to customize this typography, which is going to be like this. I don't need this typography. I can literally delete and I can keep it. So typography body 2, this week you have spend and some strong text, which is going to be the overall total expenses, which is the percentage of your total budget. This is, and keep up the great work for consider adjusting your spending. Okay, this is the text. So this is how the data looks like. See, this is the text which we, but amount everything is empty. Don't worry, because we haven't supplied any of the informations to our weekly overview. So for the weekly overview, all you have to do is to supply the data weekly expenses dot weekly expenses, then percentage is going to be weekly expenses dot percentage, then total budget is going to be weekly expenses dot total budget, then total expenses is going to be weekly expenses dot total expenses. Save these changes. Now that is going to give you the stats based on the weekly expenses. There we go. See, the chart has been it's plotted over there, and it's giving you the week. Saturday, it's our last day, which is working perfectly as it's supposed to be. Right now, all we have to do is to fix the total earnings. So let's go ahead and fix the total earnings. Click this. Okay, currently it's displaying this particular data. Okay, so you can copy this total earnings which I provided in the gist. All you have to do is to open the gist and scroll all the way to the bottom, and there you can find the total earnings. I think, yep, this is the one. Okay, so this is the one. Copy it, and I'm simply gonna replace it, and let me scroll all the way to the bottom and change this to use client. Since we are not using this data, you can simply comment it or you can delete it. That's up to you. So I'm going to keep it commented because I'm not going to use it anyways. So I'm going to comment it. And for this total earnings, all I have to do is to supply the budgets. Then I need to supply the percentage used, which is going to be award savings over the percentage used. Okay, just the same data only. We just changing the UI based on the data what we have in our hand. See, this is the UI, and this is how I just customized that total earning, total expenses, same thing only that, but I just customized the data based on the record what I have in our hand. Okay, so then, and the last thing, which is going to be the sales by countries. If you wish to rename this, you can rename this, but I'm going to open this instead of this sales by countries. I'm going to bring the props for this since it is using this particular data over here. So I'm going to literally comment this, and I'm going to bring this props and import it, open it, page client props, and bring the expenses in it, expenses, and instead of data I'm going to map this expenses. Okay, and along with that we need to make some customizations and all those things. You can simply copy this from where, from exactly the gist folder. Okay, so I'm going to copy it from there, and you can also copy the exact same thing from there and you can paste it over here. Okay, and you can import these two packages from the date FNS format, and this one from analytics page, and this one from Lucid React. Import all these things. Okay, or you can simply copy it from there and you can simply paste it. This is what exactly I kept it in the gist file. If you open it, and there you can see this right after this transactions total earnings, you can find out this sales overview. You can simply copy it and you can paste it over here. That's it. Okay, then let's get back to the page.tsx, and for this page over here for the sales by countries, all I have to do is to change supply the expenses. So here expenses is equals to top expenses, which we calculated. Save it, and we need to change the name to recent expenses. Something like this, recent expenses. See, tea break, groceries, friends meet, bike petrol, all these things. So we successfully built it ourselves a professional admin dashboard just by using the theme selection. Okay, by using this, the complete fully prepared dashboard which is already there. We just created ourselves a manual data and we customized the UI a little bit. So this theme selections is providing a lots and lots of fully functional admin dashboard. So please go ahead and look into it. If you wish to purchase it, go ahead, purchase the pro version, which is quite easy for customizing it. You don't need to worry about. If you're having some handful skills in the Next.js and TypeScript, it's quite easy for you to customize it. All right, so click the link in the description below. You can go ahead and download the free version or you can purchase the pro versions. So feel free to contact if you're having any questions in this. All right, so I'll see you all in the next project.